Welcome to the Solution Podcast, guys. What's going on? How's everyone doing? I'm here with Hassan. We've got a few more that will be joining us, including is it Dawud and John Michelle. They should be joining us very, very soon. Um, yes. So Hassan, how you doing? We haven't done a live in time. What's going on, bro? Is everything all right?
Y- Yeah, it's been quite a while. Yeah, great. Been it's been quite a while. Yeah, doing well. It's nice to be back for an episode.
Okay. Good to see you again, bro. All right. Today we're going to be talking about guys. Listen, the sneaky racism of Sneako with Dawud and with Dawud Hassan. Yeah, with the sneaky racism of Sneako, we have actually done a reaction to this in regards to Sneako and his racist comments. Sneako has a lot to say when it comes to you know, race, apparently, and it's always directed at black people for some reason. What's going on, brother? What's your views before we get into the Dawood situation? I've got some videos to react to as well, so I'm going to wait for those guys to arrive. Um, what what's your view of Sneak? I mean, you're Muslim. Apparently, Sneak was born a Catholic, didn't really follow it, didn't really care for it, and eventually I'm assuming he became an atheist. That's what I'm assuming. And then he converted to Islam. You are a Muslim.
Mhm.
And how do you feel? How do you? I'm not talking about his overall conduct because we all sinners. None of us are perfect. And I'm just talking about you know, his views on race.
How do I feel about his views on race?
Yeah,
Um, I a part of me thinks it's not his views. A part of me thinks he doesn't
he doesn't
really
know.
think that yeah, I don't think he believes anything that he says because
You
he
sure?
yeah, to a certain degree. I think it's just for it's a new trend. It's a very popular trend of saying
Sorry
outrageous
to
things.
fix my hat. Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Oh no, it's fine.
So it's a
Uh,
trend. You don't really think he's racist. He's racist, right? Is that what you're
no,
trying to
no,
say?
no, no, at all, not at all, not at all. Not to the extent that he's not saying racist things because he is. But do I think he means what he's saying? No, I
Hmm.
think he's saying it because he knows when to say it, when not to say it. He knows how to argue his points, and he says things that are just regurgitated talking points from basically Twitter and some of the far right points. Nothing original, nothing meaningful. No particular stories about his upbringing or his background or his friends. There's no deep connection towards race and the issues around race. I think it's just he's a very successful streamer. He's just a streamer, and it's a trend among streamers to pretty much repeat a few lines. So on the left, you'd have the same talking points that they all repeat, and on the right, you have the same talking points that they all repeat. I think because he's been kicked out of YouTube and places like this, he's in a position to it benefits him to take greater risks than not to take greater risks.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not just giving him a pass because you're a Muslim and he's a Muslim? And maybe you're just, turning a blind eye to his racist views or trying to, how do I say this? Tone down his 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 racism, so to speak. I
Oh,
just want to
so
cover everything.
sure,
Mm,
sure, that's a good point. So Islam does not condone racism at all.
mm.
Islam being the Quran and the Sunnah, right? The way of the Prophet Muhammad and the Quran. Neither of those sources condone racism at all, right? So for me to be covering up for him would be for me to not point out what he's doing wrong and sort of condone it, which would increase him in sinful or poor conduct. It does not benefit him and it doesn't benefit me.
Okay, okay.
So is he saying
Yeah.
racist things? Yes, but I can't overlook the fact that he's an attention seeker.
I mean. When you look at the history of Sneako, Sneako's been streaming for a long time, bro. He's been streaming for a very long time. He's been building his fan base for a very long time. He's not new to speaking publicly. He's not new to receiving criticism, receiving pushback for his comments, for what he says. When I look at Sneako, I'm just giving you my personal opinion now. When I look
Mhm.
at Sneako, he has well thought out. Every time he is racist, it's well thought out. He thought, you can tell that he thought about it. He thinks this is the best approach to apparently, I think, in his way of thinking, combat degeneracy or moral degeneracy within society, which is what I get from him. He thinks by being racist, he's somehow combating moral degeneracy. But he doesn't strike me as someone who's, you know, innocently speaking or ignorantly speaking. I think he is well aware of what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. He knows that he's being racist. And then we're going to play some clips to highlight that. He knows that he's being racist. He says that he's doing it on purpose. He actually says it. He says it himself. So it's not a situation where Sneako doesn't know what he's talking about, or he's just searching for clout. Because if it's clout, then he has been on the receiving end of Clout for a very, very, very long time. And Clout is nothing new to him. I mean, the guy is famous, the guy is rich, he's made quite a lot of money from what he does. So, and he converted to Islam. Just gonna say it. So, um, I don't think he's as naive as and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm mischaracterizing what you're saying.
Mhm.
But I don't think he's as naive as you've portrayed him to be.
I
I
don't
think
think he's
he's I
naive.
think he's very intentional. I think he's very intentional.
I wouldn't describe him as naive. I'll just say very clearly, it's a character. He's putting on this show.
He's putting on a show.
Yeah,
What show? Because racism is serious.
well, it's trending. It gets a lot of attention, gets a lot of likes, gets a lot of retweets, gets a lot of people, you know, viewing your show and your stream and whatever. There's no naivety
Yeah,
involved.
yeah, you've politicized it. You've said that, oh, you've brought politics into this. So you think he's doing this what, for clicks? Because that would make me question his character. Shout out as Pra, I saw video of him in Morocco. I saw video of him. Okay, yeah, all right. Yeah, to me, I would question his character then, because as a religious man, you've already said that Islam does not condone racism. So what is he doing? Open. I mean, this guy he's already done his Hajj, I believe. Um, he, he's well known within the Dawah, sort of the Dawah scene, and he looks like to me he's doing a better job at trying to become a Muslim than say someone like Andrew Tate. So as a religious person or someone who has converted to religion, I can understand trying to seek clout because this is a hot topic. It's cool to be racist. It's cool to do all of these
Mm,
things. Um, if we look at Twitter, we can see that this is a reality.
mm,
Um, we've got good examples like Myron. just recently, you should have seen something that Myron put out posted on X. My days, bro. I'm gonna show it to you in a minute.
mm,
But as a religious person, as a person that has, converted to religion
mm.
and is striving and making an effort to learn the religion and has involved himself with people that do dawah, I don't think, I don't, I mean, he should be aware that racism, even if he's doing it for shock value, even if that is, which I don't believe he's doing it for shock value, even if it is for shock value, um, as a religious person, or person that has turned to religion, once you become religious, bro. it's God that matters. It's God that's the ultimate authority. It's your religious scriptures that's the ultimate authority. So that comes first. That comes first over everything. Do you see where I'm coming from? So that's why I'm like, that's why I'm like, I can't buy the whole him being naive or just trying to get clout because it's a hot topic, or it's cool to be racist or he's trying to be provocative and all of that type of stuff. Because he's a person that is committing himself to his religion and he's trying to learn as much as possible about his religion. So if the religion is against racism, then should also be against racism. Or he should be more aware of saying racist things. Yeah, that's my view on that.
He should be more aware. Um, he should be more aware.
Sneako is racist to himself, as Brett said, because he's apparently is mixed with some black as well. Myron is racist to himself. What do you reckon, bro?
So he
Shouts
should
to
be
everyone
more.
watching as well. Go
So
ahead,
he
bro.
should be more. He should be more aware. But
Mhm.
I'm sure he is aware. I'm sure he is aware. It's not that hard. It's not that hard to be. But he's probably not getting the pushback. It's a very positive way. Shout out to
Mm.
JM.
Shouts to JMs. JMs just joined the live. Yeah, that's what I was saying. You should be more aware of. I mean, okay, if he didn't convert to religion, I could kind of understand where you're coming from with the whole clout thing. Um, but now that he turned into religion, and as you said, Islam is against racism, he should be more aware and he should be more cautious about how he presents himself and
Guys, can you hear
also
me?
to the public.
Yes.
Is it?
JM, what's going on, my
Yeah.
brother? Yes, speak.
I'm driving. Is it okay to leave the mic on? Can you hear anything?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Keep talking. Keep talking while I'm talking, bro, so I can see if there's any
Okay,
feedback.
just
Keep talking while I'm talking.
testing.
Okay, okay,
It's
okay,
fine.
okay. So far, yeah, just a
Okay,
tiny little bit of feedback. Well, actually, yeah, I'm hearing some feedback now. So, yeah, just basically try and
I'll
what
have
do you
to
call
put,
it?
I'll have to shift in between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if I hear you guys, if you ask me, it'll take me a couple of minutes couple of seconds to take the
The
mute off
mute.
because I'm driving. Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
That's absolutely fine, brother. That's absolutely
Okay,
fine.
bro.
What's your take? What's your take on this, brother? What's your take on this one?
So you're talking about the Sneako and the monkey thing, yeah? Is that
Oh
what
yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, 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 yeah. We're gonna be reacting. We're gonna be reacting to some videos. But we're waiting for Dawud to join the live.
Okay.
Hopefully the brother can do it. But what do you call it? So far, from what you've heard of Sneako, his racist comments and so on, monkeys twerking on the streets, all of that. What's your take on this?
Um, it's I told you it's fashionable now to be anti-black. Have an anti-black. It's particularly actually. We have to clarify what this is. It's particularly well. I mean, I thought I was at first. I thought it was anti-black American, but then when his comments about monkeys speaking in the street in the UK, we're talking about just outright anti-black racism. He also put out this uh thing on his Rumble, just open racist memes, depicting black people as subhuman
I've
and
got them.
Jews controlling them. So yeah, these guys are going full white supremacists, full anti-black because him, Myron, excuse me, yeah, they've gone all the way in with it, and I guess it's about if you watch Myron's tweets, he's actually saying, I am far right. I've got more in common with Nick Fuentes and these other groypers they call them than I have with you guys. So yeah, this is them just going full into their white validation seeking identity crisis, anti-black racism. That's it.
So the debate between me and Octavio, or the discussion between Octavio, is that I say he's not racist to a certain, to the degree that he presents himself. He's just doing it because it's a part of the trend, and he's just very he's a chameleon. He adapts to the environment.
Well, I disagree with that. Well, actually, no. Technically, because he has a black father, I think, a Haitian father. Racist. I mean, I think he can be racist against their own people, but he definitely has prejudices against black people. I think that would be the technical term, prejudice, because racist. I don't know if you can be within the same race and be racist. So I guess you have to go with prejudice.
Sorry, Jam. Jim, are you able to silence your phone a
Yeah,
little bit because it's getting a lot of
yeah.
feedback?
I will.
Yeah,
I am. Give me a
appreciate
second. I'll do
appreciate
that
that.
for you right now.
Um, my view on this is I believe that it is possible for a person to actually be racist. I know prejudice would be a little bit more, but I do think that it is possible for a person to be of the same race and be racist, or hate his own race, and wish there were some other race. I think it is possible for that to happen. I do believe that he knows what he's doing. I don't believe that he's naive, and even the excuse that he gives that, oh, this is me trying to fight. The excuse that he gives is that he's fighting against degeneracy, apparently. The reason why he's being racist is because he's seeing black people doing degenerate things. The music is degenerate and so on. And because of that, that's why I call them monkeys. To me, that's just an excuse. I wouldn't. I think the entire Western culture is degenerate, regardless of race. And everyone participates within Western culture, not just black people. And there's no reason for you to attach race to moral degeneracy. So I do believe that he is racist, just because he shares, I don't know what percentage of black he is. Um, to me, that does not mean that he's not racist. I think he hates his own race. I think he looks up to other races. And listen, guys, this is not me saying it. He's the one who racialized it. He's the one who racialized the entire thing. When I call people morally degenerate, I'm not talking about a race. I'm talking about the state of the culture or what people indulge in. If you look at the Bible, it doesn't talk about race, it doesn't talk about being black, white, and so on and so forth. It's just whether you are moral degenerate, whether you are immoral, or whether you are good. Whether you follow God or you don't follow God. That's all it is. He didn't have to use race in order to, it's like when it comes to moral degeneracy, he only aligns moral degeneracy with black people, but he doesn't align it with white people, as if white people don't twerk as well, as if Asian people don't twerk as well, as if all these races within Western culture don't indulge in Western culture degeneracy. I think it's bullshit. And what to me the better convo, which is a conversation that I hope to have with Dawud is, since Islam is against racism, as Hassan has told me, why is he being allowed to carry on, doing what he's doing? I think we've got Dawood
Look at all these.
here
You got
now.
good citizens.
Um,
Let's just say what it is.
Hold on a second, guys. Oh no, this is just not Dawood. This is are you sharing something with me, Hassan? There
Yeah,
you
so
go.
this is the meme that JM was talking about. This is where it goes from just people saying that degenerate behavior is something attributed to people that you would refer to as N words, and it transitions from that, which is a trend that he uses and a lot of people use, straight to, by definition, a person of African black, or what a person who would be defined as black is by definition degenerate or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Jim,
full blown racism.
yeah, it is full. I'm sorry to say it, bro. I know if he was a Christian, I would have had the exact same opinion.
That's not
This
fair.
is,
That's not fair. That's not fair, Octavio. I'm not defending him because he's Muslim. I'm just. It has
oh,
nothing to
okay,
do with
okay,
Islam.
okay, okay,
Let me double down on that. It has nothing to do with Islam. It has nothing to do with being a Muslim.
cool,
I've been on the podcast long enough not to defend somebody. For you to know that I don't defend somebody just because they're Muslim. That's
okay.
it has nothing to do with Islam. I just know a grifter when I see one. I know somebody who's has goes for shock value rather than trying to say something they really mean. Like Nick Fuentes, I genuinely think he's a racist. Sneako,
Nick,
I've
yeah,
seen
yeah,
his proof.
Nick Fuentes. I genuinely think Nick Fuentes is a racist as well.
Yes, and
I have
Myron
my
and
doubts.
Myron.
Or Myron, definitely a racist.
Yeah, yeah.
Without Nick Fuentes, definitely a racist. Myron, definitely a racist. I had my doubts in
Yeah.
regards to what's his name, Sneako, but just seeing what he's doing lately, just seeing
Mm,
how blatant he's being about racism,
mm,
and the fact that he has converted to. You see, Nick Fuentes don't really talk much about. He's more about politics, and Myron, up to a certain extent, is more about politics.
mm,
But with when you see Sneako being almost like a religious activist, that's
mm.
how I see. That's how I see Figgy. And yet he's it's like he's just becoming more morally degenerate as far as race goes, as far as his views on racism goes, and to such an extent where he's look at what he's posting. Look at he's posting on X. So yeah. Shouts to Mark Smith. I see you in the building, bro. Here we go, man. As always, defending us. Mark Smith has said, "Yes, JM. I know you got. I know you got a few things to say, JM. Go ahead, bro. Let's give JM a couple of seconds. He's driving, guys. He's driving. He's driving. Yeah, but yeah. To me, the bigger conversation once JM is able to do so. Oh yeah, there he is. There he is.
Yeah,
Go ahead, JM.
yeah. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So, look, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to understand that there's always been people that have had, um, for example, you've had Jewish people that were Nazi sympathizers. You've had Jewish people. In fact, apparently, one of the main people that started the Nazi Party in this country had Jewish, so-called Jewish ancestry. So you've always had this dynamic of people who you would think would be kind of almost, you'd be surprised basically that someone like that would be involved. But this has always been a part of history, and I think what you see with Myron and Sneako are someone that have always been uncomfortable with their black identity. Maybe because they were teased in the past, maybe because they were rejected. Maybe in Sneako's case could be some rejection issues. With Myron, obviously, there's a lot more to it because Myron identifies as Arab. We spoke about the North Sudanese, um, how they consider themselves to be separate from the Southern Sudanese due to their Arab um, history, the history of the Arabs. So that's what you're seeing here. We're just seeing people who their grifting part. I understand because there is a grift there. Their audience is white supremacists, young white supremacists. That's their audience, so-called groypers. And we should do an episode on what a groyper is. I think that'd be important to do that next. But these are these young white, ultra kind of nationalist, racist, red pillars. That's their audience. They've made it clear that this is their audience, and they identify with that audience. One thing that underpins all of these guys is the anti-blackness. All of these new red pillars, they all have it. Even Donovan Sharp, whatever his name is, he also, I realized recently, had a bit of anti-black sentiment in his message. Tommy Sotomayor is another one. So many of them have an element of this anti-black rhetoric in their message. And I think it literally, I believe it's partly because of their own internal issues, but there's definitely grifting. There's definitely some element of I can ingratiate myself to a huge audience if I adopt these anti-black narratives. That's what I think. I'm going to come off now. Come back to you.
Um, yeah. I absolutely agree. But to me, it's a bit of confusion, a bit confusing to me. Shouts to Nasir9. He says, "What's up, yo? What's up to you, bro?" Um, uh, yes, guys. Look, listen. The grifting. I can't. The reason why this doesn't make any sense to me is because he has, in a sense, become religious. He has converted. He's doing a lot to pursue the religion, to be a religious man, to be known in the religious sphere. This is when a person converts, like I said before earlier, the authority is God. So, okay, why would you try to ingratiate yourself with racist white counterparts? What are you going to get from it? Okay, you're going to get the approval from them. You're going to get all of that. But the thing is, if you understand how they view you, why would you continuously pursue that? And
Just
with
adjust us.
Sneako, yeah, but with Sneako is a bit different though. Sneako see, Myron has said that he's not into the religion and so on. Nick Fuentes has said that. Fuentes said that he's Catholic, but mainly what he talks about is politics. I would love to have a conversation with this guy about Catholicism and racism, and see where in the Bible racism is upheld, or his idea that that certain races are better than other races, which on my reaction, I already broke down what that really means. It comes down to Darwin, and Darwin believing that certain races, or the black races, are inferior to white races. So to me, with Sneak was just a bit different, just because he is now a religious person. He should be adhering to religion. Religion should be the main focus. Religion should be the ultimate authority. And he should be changing that. He should be changing that. He should be changing his approach, even the way he talks. He should be. Why is he still doing that? That's the part that
You're
you know.
touching you're touching on a very good topic, and I think if you don't mind, we'll cover that when Dawood comes in, because that conversation we can have with Dawood as a person who you maybe who's been in the circle. So, and I'll express my views on why, because you're asking a good question. You made a good distinction between Myron, who really has obviously got racist views, and Nick Fuentes, but both of them made very clear that religion isn't their main talking point; it's a side point, and politics is their main talking point. And yeah, you're right. Nick Fuentes, even though he's Catholic and talks about Catholicism, he focuses heavily on politics. Same with Myron, and gender dynamics, or whatever it is. So your distinction between the three of them, sorry, Sneaker and the other two, is fair. As a person who's literally sitting down with religious leaders like Sheikh Uthman, and other people in the Dawah scene, well, you're presenting a very different product in comparison to someone like someone like Myron, who even hadn't had the hijab on only for the sake of argument, only for the purpose of freedom of speech, which again is political. And then you have Nick F. I don't know if I can say his name on this channel for too much. But by the way, fair use because of Rumble. From what I
Oh
hear,
yeah,
they
fair
don't.
use. Sorry. Yeah, fair use. Go ahead, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, use fairly. So fair use. So you're right in that distinction, but that it would be nice to have Daoud on that side of things. I think for now we could just double down on exposing how clear his racism is. That it's not ambiguous. It's not. It's not. He's not alluding to it. He's been out and out racist in a very detailed way, and anti-Semitic as well. Let's not avoid. Let's not forget the fact that fact as well.
Oh yeah. But the thing is, here's an important observation to make. If you ask Myron's attitude, okay, Myron and Sneako have both said racist, inflammatory words. Okay, they both said it. They both said it. All right. So as far as racist rhetoric goes, they're both on the same. But they both also claim that they're not being. It's not that they're being racist. What it is that they're saying that these people are morally degenerate, and that's the reason. That's the reason for the racism. They're both given the same reason. It's like, oh, because they're moral, because the music is morally degenerate. So they're trying to come from a moral perspective. They're saying that because the music is degenerate, because these people are degenerate, so therefore they are entitled. It allows them to somehow be racist.
Yeah, I've heard that argument before. The distinction between so the conjoining particular poor character traits in any particular group of people, and then using the slur to define that group of people, rather than saying that these are just negative traits that can be altered, and it can be these are ways that people could be um, uh, these are ways of life that can be altered through religion or through whatever it is. So I've heard the argument before that if the N word is an appropriate term to use in reference to a people rather than just saying these people are doing something wrong. That's what you're alluding to, right?
Yeah. Basically, it's like you're behaving like Nigg. You're behaving like that, and people that are Nig, they are morally degenerate. So
Yeah.
they think it's okay to use racial slurs. Okay, they think they have the authority to use racial slurs. They can use racial slurs because of their moral degeneracy, because of how morally degenerate they are. This is why Sneako used the term monkey twerking on the street. He was in England. He was at the Notting Hill Gate Carnival, and um,
Yeah.
and that's the reason why. So he feels, in a sense, it's okay for me to be racist because guess what? They are behaving like morally degenerate people. So there's the moral component is they
Uh-huh.
using that as a reason to be racist, to be
This is the,
morally
this is
degenerate. Saying
this is
that.
the
That's just
this yeah. The problem with that is it loops back to JM's point of the Groiper online, media, the online social groups that only cater to depicting people of other races far removed from the white Christian Western ideal or perception, as they define that as being the purest morally. So there is no degenerate term or there are no racial slurs in association to anything that a white European Christian person would be doing. But anybody far removed from that, whether it be black people or people of sub-Saharan or Afro-Caribbean descent, or whatever term you want to use, or people that are Jewish, right? It caters to a particular crowd. That those definitions, those perceptions, are specifically set up to present what is opposed to the ideal in the mind of the Groiper, for example, which is the white Western European Christian. You're muted. You're muted.
oh JM, what's your thoughts on this, JM? Guys, we'll give
Right.
JM a little time because he's driving.
Yeah. So I think we're not really we're underestimating the grifter aspect because Myron recently made it crystal clear that I've been reading his tweets recently. He's made it crystal clear that these are his own words now. He's saying things that these white people can't say. Um, he's made it clear that this is what he's doing. This is the niche that he found for himself, where he can say the most outlandishly racist comments and not get cancelled for it. This is something that he's very much leaning into, and there's some type of they get some type of joy, I guess is the word to use, or some type of satisfaction from doing it. You can see when even the comment of monkeys in the park, any white person that would say that would be literally of that status, of that kind of notoriety and fame, because Nika does have some type of fame. He's very well known. If you, I would say he's probably as well known as maybe the Logan Pauls and these type of people. He's probably as well known as those guys. If Logan Paul said, described black people as monkeys twerking in the street, he would be completely cancelled. His endorsements would go. He'd lose money. These guys get great joy out of the fact that they can say things that white people can't say and would be cancelled for. And that has a lot to do with their motives behind doing it. There's a kind of joy and satisfaction that they can say what they want, and not be cancelled. And at the same time, they can ingratiate themselves with people who would really want to say it. And they're openly saying, we're saying things that you guys can't say. So yeah, the grifting element is really big with these guys, and I'll leave it there. Mute myself again.
I see what you're saying now. You see, my only problem with that argument is, yes, you're ingratiating yourself. Yes, yes, it is a grift. I can see all of that, but ultimately, they still look at you. Yes, you get because you've got that, I don't know, that ethnicity, because you've got that skin color. You can say so. Myron can say it. Sneako can say it. And white people know that if they say it, they're going to be cancelled. But guess what? They get to live vicariously through Sneako, and Myron. But the only problem is for them, or for Sneako and Myron, is that ultimately, regardless of how much you ingratiate yourself to these people, these racist people, is that eventually, ultimately, it all leads to them looking at you in the exact same way. So yes, you might have helped a cause in the sense of spreading racism, in the in the sense of pushing out racism. So I'm thinking, like, what benefits you, because human beings are ultimately selfish creatures. So what benefits? Yes, you're gonna get something out of that grift. You're gonna get whatever. But eventually, it works against you
But
when you
Nelson,
look
they
at
get financial. This is what you're asking. What benefit it is? It's financial. I mean, don't
Just to,
underestimate what people will do for money.
just
With each like, with each subscription, that's money. Okay, they wouldn't be
oh
going in this hard if there wasn't a financial component to what they're doing. And it's all about developing a base. You develop a base that translates to money. That translates to money.
this reminds me of
mm,
Pearl, because Pearl fits in this exact same dynamic. She says things about women that some men really want to say, but they don't. And she says really absurd things. And she has a base. And the men that want what she says to women doesn't ingratiate her with men it doesn't ingratiate her with men in any way, shape, or form. But she's definitely a talking piece for a particular type of man who has that sort of, and they're pretty much in the same circles as Sneako in terms of their viewpoints. So he, in a sense, this new grift is like a racial version of just Pearl, in a sense.
hello, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear.
I think I might have someone here. I think Dawud is here. Um,
Oh yeah,
Give me a second. What I was going to say in regards to that, Dawud, how are you? Can you hear me, Dawud?
Assalamu alaikum. Hi, everyone.
How you doing? Peace be with you as well, bro. Uh, can you hear me properly?
Yes.
Hello, Dawud? Can you hear me? You can hear me, yeah? Okay, good. What I was going to say, just to finish off that conversation that we were having, what I was going to say in regards to that is that Sneako is rich. He does have enough money now, and so is Myron. Myron also has enough money now. So there is. I understand that money is definitely an incentive, and God knows how much money some people
Yeah, hi
need.
there. I can
It
hear you
comes
guys
down to
now.
you can hear us, yeah. Oh,
Yes, yes,
welcome
yes.
to the welcome to the Solution Podcast, brother. It's good to have you on the platform. Um,
Thank you for having me.
and and peace be with you as well. And no shouts for Hassan as well for making it happen. I'm here with Hassan. I'm here with Jean-Michel. And today, brother, we are talking about the sneaky racism of Sneako.
Yes,
Um, actually did a reaction on that as well. And
yes,
there's a few things he mentioned you on one of the interviews. I think it was with Cheyenne Reynolds. He mentioned you in regards to the conversation that you were trying to have with him when you guys were having lunch, I believe, with the rest of the Dawud team. Um, yes, brother. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, guys. Let's hear your thoughts.
yeah. So I have spoken. First of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you. I've had a look at your platform as well. I think it's very refreshing to see. I was talking to Hassan early on. That at first I was a bit unsure, but I watched I think 2 to 3 videos of yours. I watched the one on immigration. I watched the one on like racism and Christianity. And as time was passing by, both of you, John Michel, right, and yourself, really won me over because I really like the authentic way on how you guys discuss things and how open-minded you guys are. Despite having very strong opinions and strong point of view. So I'm really happy to be here and to partake and really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. And
Yeah,
everyone is from different backgrounds, different belief systems. We've got a Muslim brother. I'm Catholic myself.
yeah,
JM is more on the pro-black side of things.
yeah,
And everyone's got different views, different points of views. But we're big on respect and
yeah,
and conveying ourselves in a respectful manner and hearing each other out. Even if we
yes,
disagree with each other. Which
absolutely.
I think is important.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
go
the
ahead, bro.
story goes because I'm very late as well, so I just really
Don't worry about that. Don't worry
do a
about
bit
that.
of a recap quickly. So basically, I met Sneako about 6 months ago the first time. I spent some time with him as well because there was loads and loads of people, so it wasn't very intimate in any such a way. But yeah, we broke fast together, and he was very welcome. No, well, I wouldn't say welcoming, but he was very like open, and when I was just kind of a tag along really, and then there was a conversation on the table, and I started to join, and whenever I would join and give my 2 cents to it, he'd be very appreciative afterwards. He would come to me and be like, "Thank you for today, thank you for today." And he did say that that day as well when we was in a restaurant. But the conversation really starts off um, off like the live streams. It starts off when we were sort of again there was like 10 people. We kind of hanging out and we kind of showing him London, and we went to this restaurant. This is what you do in Ramadan. You kind of just you go from one place to the other. You go to pray at night time, and then you have a coffee maybe afterwards somewhere. So it was kind of like that type of vibes. So we kind of sitting down and obviously we unwinding, and he seemed very tired as well. I think he was still kind of battling a jet lag. But then, as things go, the conversation carries on, and then race realism comes up. Because Nick Fuentes is mentioned, right? Somehow Nick Fuentes is mentioned, and I was familiar with Nick Fuentes, uh, and Mohammed Hijab was also familiar with his ideas and beliefs. And Sneako obviously was associated with him for a very long time during this Trump campaign, and these like very like dubious characters like Milo, uh, Milo, and I think Nato Neapolis or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, Annapolis,
Yiannopoulos,
something like yeah,
yeah,
something like
Milo,
that.
yeah. So yeah, so they were all kind of like together. It was like Kanye 2024. It's all that campaign, or 2020 or whatever that was. So that period, he spent a lot of time, and I think he soaked up a lot of like ideology from that period. And I think um, one thing, and I will talk about this a bit more later as well. Uh, I think one thing with Sneako is that you can see that because he's been online for such a long time, you can literally see his trajectory in terms of how his ideas move from one to the other. and sometimes we talk about it, and obviously we challenged. As I was mainly sort of the guy who's really talking about it, because like Shane Reynolds was saying in an interview with Sneako, that other people aren't as bothered as I would as a black man, as an African man. I would obviously naturally be more bothered, even though he was more so talking about African Americans, because I don't know, and I'm sure you're aware of it. There's currently this debate happening in America between FBAs, Foundation of Black Americans, and immigrants who've moved into the Americas like later. So there's like a divide that is happening there. So I think Sneako perhaps was a bit. Uh, I think he didn't expect me to come back because I think his experience being with people like Myron and Walter from Fresh and Fit podcast, they have really strange views that are kind of like uh, tinted by like the political landscape that we're experiencing right now in America, and they're really kind of playing with these like ideas and talking points, if you like. And I think that Sneako didn't expect me to kind of like push back on him, so I pushed back. He was very tired, and he's like, "Well, you guys need to talk to Dick Fuentes. You have to debate him. You should talk to him. I don't really, it kind of washed his hands off. He left, and that was the last time I saw him. That time, anyway. So then, obviously, couple and before I came in, I saw you guys were talking about the memes that you were sharing. These are the memes that I saw as well online, and that's what prompted me to be like, because someone told me that he would be here, and I was like, because I put this in a group chat, right? In a group chat. I mean, I was like, yo, this is bang out of order. Like the Sneako guy, he's just like, he's not stopping. We had a conversation previously, and he's just continuing like these tirades and these like um, tropes about black people. And then so the person in the group chat was like, hey, he's in town actually. I think you should go and talk to him. I was like, cool. That's what I'm gonna do. I had no intention to meet him whatsoever. He's a Muslim, fair enough, but I'm not like hell bound of being like best friends with him or such. He's a brother, and in Islam he has like he has rights over me, and I have rights over him. And if we happen to be friends down the line, um, like have a companionship, then so be it. But I'm not like hell bent. And the reason why I'm saying this is because um, with these social media influences, it is very difficult sometimes to discern how they calculate the room and how they say certain things. Do they actually believe in those things, or do they say them to polarize uh, the conversation? That's why, I feel like sometimes because I have loads of people who are kind of like in that Dawa space, brothers that I know personally, gauging the individuals that kind of come into those close circles. It's like the bread and butter that kind of protects them. So that's why I mentioned this beforehand. But yeah, so we there and we having the conversation, and I say to him, hey, and I feel like it kind of confirms, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then you can come back with questions, yeah. And kind of confirms my suspicions of like, vibes don't lie. Like literally, vibes are very, very real because when I met him, the way he looked at me and the way I looked at him, he knew that raw. I think based upon the last conversation we had about race realism, this brother here is gonna address me. He is going to address me. And he confirms this because at the Shane Reynolds interview, he says there was this black guy, which, by the way, I want to talk about that, the phraseology about that as well, or put emphasis on that. But there was this black guy, and he said to me, "Oh, that's this tacky question I want to ask you." I knew exactly what he wanted of me. So from that, I knew like from the moment he saw me, when I saw him, he knew that I would like press him on that, or like at least challenge his views on that. Yeah,
I think it's only fair. I mean, I've got loads of questions to ask you, bro. I think it's
sure.
only fair we play the Reynolds interview so we can see
Yeah,
what was actually said. Put it
Yeah.
that way. What was actually said. It was very interesting, very interesting indeed. So with a second, I'm gonna play from 52 onwards.
What it is, man. These black people are gonna be running around like monkeys, and then you're gonna be JKing and twerking and this stuff, and then we explain it further. Okay,
Fair use.
Every time he says that, hold on, fair use phrase, but every time he says that, it really gets on my nerves. Really, really great. Anyways,
to say
Yeah,
something.
absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
monkeys in the street. They're whoa, and then you get them thinking, and then you explain. But it needs to start with the shock factor. I'm sorry. Like maybe it's not perfect and it hurts people's feelings, but it is what it is, man. These black people are gonna be running around like monkeys, and then you're gonna be JKing and twerking and this stuff, and then we explain it further. Okay, they're using Caribbean culture as an excuse to act like degenerates, and everybody else is afraid to call it out because they don't want to be called racist.
hold on a second, guys, just to give you guys some context of what's actually being said here. He's actually explaining why he does what he does or why he says what he says. If you actually listen back 20 seconds before, he's actually explaining and he's saying, oh, the reason why I do what I do, or the reason why I say what the things that I say. He's given an excuse, to me, it's an excuse, but he's given an excuse or the logic behind why he does what he does. And he's saying, in a sense, that's how I got to become this famous because I say the shocking thing first, and then I offer people the explanation. I give them oh, it's because they're morally degenerate, which is the excuse, knowing that moral degeneracy is not confined to a race, it's confined to any human being. Every human being can be morally degenerate.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's basically given that excuse, and he's saying this is the reason why I call them, I say monkeys and all that because I know it will get their attention. That's what he's basically explaining up until now. But let's carry
It's
on.
time to just say something more real. But people do not listen to you if you're not speaking in a way that's concise and that's easily understood.
I don't know. I think it's like I agree with some of what you're saying to like the shock factor to get people to listen. Like we know
Because
content.
people can't disagree. This happened yesterday, but I was doing a stream with a bunch of Muslim scholars and sheikhs, and there was a black guy, friends of Muhammad Ajab, and he was there. And he said, I want to ask you a tacky question. I knew exactly what he was going to say immediately. I knew he was going to, because I tweeted a picture of a black guy's brain being with fried chicken and two Jews, like cooking the fried chicken. And the fried chicken, I knew he was going to ask me about that. And he's like, I want to ask you about that tweet. I'm like, what? What's wrong with it? What it's really showing is that Zionists use black culture to go and program people to do degenerate things because when we're divided, we're easy to conquer. If we believe in rap culture when we shoot each other, gang, popping Percocet and twerking, baby mama, this stuff, if we believe in this, then we believe that's
All right.
He missed out a lot
This,
there.
hold on. This
Yeah,
this
yeah.
this
There was a
black
lot more
guy.
back and forth.
This
Yeah,
there's a lot more back and forth.
yeah.
What
He
do you reckon?
missed
Should I
out.
continue playing? Should I
No.
continue
The
playing?
point I'm saying is I've heard the discussion with Dwood and Sneako, and it didn't go out like, oh, so what? No, it was more like he was educating on the background of the people he's referring to and why he's incorrectly referring to them in that way. And obviously, Sneako went down
Mm.
the path of what you would essentially read on Twitter of, well, this and that. And so on. It's just a very simplified, essentially low IQ, one could argue, perception of a culture and a people and how media can, portray them in comparison to the nuances of how people can should be portrayed, right? It's just he's simplifying it this way which makes me think, well, is that what you want to do with the tweet? Is it that you want it so you can have a story to tell for your next interview and for your next thing so you can carry on being trending as such and simplify and mischaracterize any conversation you may have had that will give you pushback, which then further on escalates and perpetuates your trending on any social media platform and which then leads to so on and so on and so on. So it did its job. The point was misrepresent people, get whatever pushback you get, trivialize it, minimize it, and then take that clip and say, well, I got some pushback and I proved the person wrong without even taking into consideration what they said, because you can't even repeat what they said. And that's this is the game of Twitter, I guess.
Let me just get JM before we go to Robert Dawud here because I've got some questions. Let me just go into JM, just get JM's reaction here. JM, I know JM's driving, so he can't always you know,
No, I can hear you
yes,
guys.
JM,
I
go
can
ahead.
hear you. What I want to do, I want to lean into this kind of this idea that because I hear a lot from these kind of white supremacist leaning content creators, and this idea that the Jews are in control of everything, and they use quote unquote black culture to pollute America in this case. I'm going to tell you why that's how racist that is for a number of reasons, and how it shows their anti-black racism. Because what they're basically saying is that black people are too stupid or stupid enough to be used in this way.
Absolutely.
But this exposes the racism part. These people also believe that all manner of degeneracy comes from Jews trying to undermine Western nations. That includes, and I'm giving you their view, this is not my view, this is their view, that includes the LGBT agenda, which we know is very much part of, let's just call it white culture. If you look at your average Pride March, it's mostly full of white Americans, white Europeans. They would tell you that is also part of this so-called Jewish quote unquote conspiracy. So where are the memes? Where are the memes depicting the stupid white person that's being controlled by the Jews? Where are the jokes about these stupid white people that are being controlled by the Jews to be LGBTQ? If you notice, there's none of these memes out there. Because, as I said, the root of it is anti-black racism.
Yeah.
If they were really, if their viewpoint was to, if you were to go all the way with their viewpoint and their belief system, every race, they should have a meme for every race that's under the control of quote unquote Jews. But they only focus on the black. And if it's about degeneracy, they view the LGBT community as degenerate too. The Myrons, the Sneakos, the Dick Fuentes, they view LGBTQ as degenerate. So where are their memes depicting the stupid white people that are falling for LGBTQ agenda?
Exactly.
Where are all these memes? Why aren't they stupid and low IQ? Why don't they pick white people as low IQ for allowing their children to be conditioned to be LGBTQ? Why is it just the black people that are the degenerate low IQ ones that have allowed themselves to be used to spread degeneracy? Aren't white people spreading degeneracy according to them with the LGBTQ agenda? That goes to show that this is just about anti-black racism.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And just to quickly show you guys, this is another meme from Myron. Me when I'm debating foundational Black Americans. That's what he said. This was posted, I think a day ago or something like that, or a day and a half ago. But yeah, brother. The only difference that I see with Sneako and the rest, and we were talking about this earlier, me and Hassan were trying to hash it out, and he kind of said, that'll be a good question for Brother Dawud. The only difference is that he has accepted Islam. So to me, when a person, I can understand, when a person accepts a religion, the ultimate authority becomes that religion. Everything else comes second. Everything else comes second. And because you believe in that religion, you agree with that religion, so that becomes your ultimate authority when you convert it. Now, Sneako, I see more than Andrew Tate, more than anyone else, more than anyone who's famous who has converted into Islam. I see Sneako ingratiate himself with the Dawa kind of like family or team, whatever, and he appears to be making more of an effort to try and learn the religion, or even or promote the religion, or be a part of the religion in the public scene. So this is what I see from him. But yeah, it's been, I don't know how long he's been a Muslim for, but I think it's been like over a year now. It's been quite a while.
Just a year, over a year, just over a year, yeah.
And according to Hassan, Islam, of course, doesn't promote racism, so doesn't believe in racism. So why is he, why is he doing this?
It's a
Do you see what I'm saying?
great question. It's a great question, and So Hassan and I, off the cam, we talked over WhatsApp, and Hassan was actually helping me. He was sending me loads of videos of like one video he sent me was so shocking. I will be talking about this a bit more in great length about Muslim Lantern. I don't know if you know that the YouTube
Yeah, yeah,
channel.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So it's him, Muslim Lantern, Mohammed Hijab, and they're all kind of sitting at a table, and you can tell that Sneako's been serious about his question, and the question he's asking is it allowed from an Islamic standpoint of view to use the N word, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I will be talking about this in great length in my reaction video to my obviously my perspective, because you know what, I at first I was a bit unsure. You know, I mean, I think I don't know if you have that, brother, brother Octavia. You know, when
Octavio.
you Octavia, yeah, when you have an idea about uh, uh, um, like say a topic you want to discuss, and you're very unsure whether you should address it or not, or maybe wait or research a bit more into it, you know, or find the right person to talk to, right? I was going through like these stages of like of uncertainty, but then I watched the CN Reynolds interview and I was like, no, now he's actually taking the mic. I mean, before I could have been like, okay, maybe I'm just gonna address the guy and just kind of like make my points even clearer without even like addressing him such. But now I'm gonna have to be very firm in my analysis of the entire thing and how it's all pieced together. Now the question is, Sneako accepted Islam. Why does he still carry these beliefs? And the answer is simple. People aren't the people that embraced him who have picked up on these ideas within his worldview in regards to race and racism partially agree with him. They partially agree with him. That's the truth. That's the truth. My rough estimation is that there's a group of these brothers, and some of them might be very close to me, that agree with this belief that there are certain things about black culture, or in fact, black culture has this degeneracy. They believe that. And the reason why they believe that is because they're ignorant of, even it's a misnomer to say black culture. I mean, the African diasporic family is the biggest diasporic family out there. Okay, we're
So,
brothers and
can,
sisters
can
in
I
that
can
sense.
I just say one thing, bro? Can I just say one
Yeah,
thing? Sorry. There's
go.
no such thing as black culture. Black people
Absolutely.
live black people live in the West.
Yeah,
There's Western culture which we all partake in.
yeah,
Every race,
correct.
every race partakes in. We all have to accept we all have to watch our mouths when we talk about the LGBTQ. We
Yeah,
all have to, do you understand? It's not just
yeah,
black women that twerk, white women
yeah,
twerk as well. It's not just
yes,
everyone. This is Western culture. This is what's
yeah,
pumped through and it's not just rap that's the genre. It's all types of genres. If you go down, I know most people only listen to rap music or whatever, but if you go
yeah,
all the different genres of music, they just as degenerate. They just as
yeah,
degenerate. It's just that they're degenerate in a different way. But this is what I'm trying to say.
absolutely.
There's no there's Western culture, and
Yeah,
we all partake in it. So this is not specific to black people. It's just that
yeah,
black people are blamed the most because they want to use us as the as the ones to blame
the
almost. You see what I'm
scapegoats.
saying?
Yeah, yeah.
The
I mean,
scapegoats, yeah.
this is one of the defining features of Western culture, and also the political system that we live in, which is a liberal, like a neoliberal political system that we live in, that allows you the illusion that you have choice, right? You have this illusion that you have choice, but what
You
really
don't.
happens is that there is like a hegemonic idea of what is acceptable, and you can partake in some of the big things, and some of them you have to abstain. And like you were saying, some you can't really comment and say what you really want to say. Now that's the new tyranny. And the other aspect of liberalism is that we all partake in this super organism, uh, which we all have our own idiosyncratic approach to it. So when people say black culture, what I understand is that they are talking about an ethnic group of people that live out liberalism in a very particular way, but it is still liberalism, you know? It's not away from
Liberties.
that. So even that,
Yes.
that's what I'm trying to say. But you see, I knew I was on borrowed time, brother Octavia. I knew I was on borrowed time. That's why I wasn't able to address everything. That's why I was not responding to every single thing they were saying to me, because I knew that they will cut off the conversation, which they have done. You see that Sneako just moves on, right? He doesn't really address anything. He doesn't really respond to anything that I'm saying. He's not able to dismantle anything that I'm saying. Brother Wonder, who's there at the beginning, asked me, Have you ever been there?" I mean, this is something that
He
created
said,
me.
if you've ever met them, you would know, which is quite a
Yes,
disturbing thing to say.
a very disturbing thing to say. I've met plenty of African American. These are my cousins. Okay, I'm not gonna uh, fall into the these what's it called, these placeholders that people are placing on me. I'm very sure who I am. I'm Congolese. I'm your neighbor. Okay, from Kinshasa, right? I've been to Luanda, right? I've some parts of my life,
Go
right?
go
I'm very proud African, and I'm not saying this to with any pride or anything, but I'm saying this because I live in a world, some parts of the world, where um, just the presence of my being, the pigmentation, how stupid it is, the pigmentation of my skin causes offense, and I'm happy to be the way God, the God of the universe, the God of Moses, the God of Abraham, the God of the children of Israel. I am happy that He created me this way. I have no qualms with that. So when I speak about African Americans, I'm speaking in their defense, not because they can't speak for themselves, because they're extremely intelligent people, amongst the most intelligent group in North America. We've seen what Tariq Nasheed did. He mopped the floor with Myron. Yeah. Myron wasn't able to say anything to him, and he really showed him that all these far right things. And also, I want to really talk about Myron a bit about these. There's this space, Twitter space, that got leaked of these white supremacists in Australia who were basically, the waited for Myron to leave the space, and they were just hammering the guy. They were saying, "Never trust the N word. He's just pandering towards us." Like, how embarrassing that is. How embarrassing that is. I mean, that's the state of things. But the answer, I'm sorry, and I really want to stick to it because I don't want to prolong, because there's four more people here speaking. But so the answer really is simply is that he hasn't got that pushback. Hence why when I am the only one on that table pushing back, and then Mohammed Hijab joining me later, it feels very uncomfortable. I don't know if you can look at the stream. Some people leave the table. It's a very
Yeah.
uncomfortable conversation.
Bro, so guys, I'm not driving anymore. So first of all, I didn't say welcome to the brother. Sorry about that. I was driving, so I couldn't I was focusing on the road. But first of all, welcome, bro. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. I
First of
appreciate
all,
you.
what I wanted to do, I just wanted to go back a bit and talk about, because first of all, we did speak about what you did in confronting Sneako. First thing I said was I commended you for doing it. Full transparency, I thought you could have gone a little bit tougher on him, if I'm honest.
Absolutely, you're right. You're right.
Yeah, I thought you
Yeah,
could go a bit
that's
tougher, but I
exactly
mean, I've said it to the guys as well. I did say the guy did well, but I would expect a bit more of a tougher. But to be honest, that's hindsight, when you're in the moment sometimes.
Absolutely.
And then I'm reflected on the fact that, as you've just said there, you weren't getting back up, and that really stuck with me. And I could see how you would feel a bit, you had to kind of tread carefully because you were in the midst of people that were. Because I look back at the video and they conveniently started talking to each other and eating.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
I thought, when I went back, I thought, okay, this is by design. This isn't a case of them suddenly losing interest. It's a touchy subject, and they're like, well, let the black guy deal with it on his own. And that literally, when I thought back to myself, I thought, you know what, that really says a lot. And that's something I'm afraid that some of the Muslim brothers out there that have got platforms, this needs to be addressed. I mean,
Yeah,
you got Mohammed.
absolutely.
Some of those guys on that table with you, bro. No disrespect to you, but they're high. They're much higher profile in terms of known out on the internet and stuff.
Yes, of course. Yes.
They're very for you to take up that mantle in their presence. I mean, it says a lot about your character, which is commendable, but it does says a lot about their character too.
Mm-hmm.
Because they should have backed you up much more than they did. They didn't back you up, and that's disappointing. That's very disappointing.
That's where my question really. That's where this is the question I wanted
Yeah,
really to get an answer
yeah,
from you,
yeah,
because to me, look, when a person converts into a religion, it's no longer about how you feel. It's not about
yeah.
my feelings. It's not about I can still have bad habits, things that I'm still attached to, but now I've converted. So when you follow God, it's not about what you feel. It's just about whether you feel like doing it, it's wrong, you don't do it. You just, you go and pray, or you think about God, or you go and read, but you do whatever it takes. You do what God commands. That's what it is. And I
Yeah.
don't see, and the way Sneako is kind of like presenting himself publicly is as this religious figure. Islam this, Islam that. I'm with the Dawah. I'm da, 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 da. So I'm sitting there thinking, uh,
Sorry,
where's
if I
the,
make another quick
yeah,
point, I was dying to
yeah,
say
go
this
ahead,
before.
bro. Go ahead,
Sorry,
bro. Yeah,
quick
go
point.
ahead, bro.
And I mentioned this before. These guys are newly converts. I think Sneako is a newly converted Muslim. Andrew Tate, obviously, obviously Myron is born into the religion. Now, I consider myself more of a student when it comes to religion. Those guys would tell you.
Yeah.
But I've been around religious people my whole life, including newly converted religious people. It doesn't matter really the faith. Obviously, I've been around more Christians, and I've seen newly converted Muslims too. There's a certain kind of disposition that comes with that, where they're
Mm-hmm.
much more humble. They're much more. It's almost like it's
Yeah.
like a rebirth.
Wow. That's
Where
very,
they start to basically try to become better people. They try to
yeah.
display that they've done away with their old life and their old bad habits and their old bad attitudes, and now they're kind of they're going in a more positive direction. Why have I not seen that with the likes of Andrew Tate and Sneako? They
Wow.
haven't changed.
Incredible.
Yeah, they haven't
Incredible
changed.
analysis.
In fact, they've become even more what word should I? More destructive and more intolerant. Dare I
No,
say it?
no,
Less religious
bro,
in terms
less
of what
religious,
religion is supposed
bro.
to do. Religion is supposed to make you a better human being. That's what God did. God put faith. He put his prophets on the earth. He put religious tenets, laws, statutes to make us better people. From my understanding, as a student, this is what I
Yeah.
see in my readings. Why am I not seeing that
Well done.
reflected
Yeah.
in these? Why am I not
Yeah.
seeing that reflected in these new converts?
Can I
And
throw
sorry, Hassan, sorry, Hassan. Just to add to, I just don't want to forget it. And and the way he addressed brother Dawud, and there was this
Yeah.
black guy there. Now,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
whenever you the Dawa guys, they usually go to these restaurants and all of that. It's a close, you can tell only certain people are allowed to be there, and Brother Dawood has been on this for a very long time. He's not a nobody in the Dawa TV. He's a prominent figure there. So it's like, the lack of respect. I noticed that, the lack of respect. There was this black guy, and there was this black guy there. I was there with he mentioned them as the sheikhs and the this and that, and then he says, and there was this black guy, and then I sat there.
Yeah.
I was thinking, hold on, there's so many things,
Yes.
wrong with that
Yeah.
statement alone. Sorry, Hassan, brother, go ahead. And yes, JM, that was so true. Yes, go ahead, JM. Sorry, Hassan, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is in response to JM's point. Why is this conversion unlike any other conversion I've met or I've seen? It's because this conversion is on the stage. So it's not a more
Yeah.
organic grassroots type conversion. He is no ordinary convert. Most converts don't have 1 million followers and a YouTube channel or a Rumble channel or whatever it is. They're just regular people who converted through reading or interaction with very close friends, and they didn't necessarily have the most prominent people in the da'wah space at their beck and call, and showing them the world, and inviting them to a variety, hosting them across the world, across various cities. And then that begs the next question. So what's on the stage that's such an issue that we can see a spiritual change, well, a change in your identity, but not in how you identify yourself or how you behave. And if I could just share the screen,
Yeah,
Octavio.
yeah,
Yeah, sure. Hold on a
Yeah,
sec
so
here.
this is Daniel Hakikatu. This is a very famous Dawah debater, Islamic debater. This is a tweet that he put out the other day. And I'm just speaking off the cuff. I may say certain things that are wrong and regrettable, but I'm just speaking unfiltered. I saw this. And it says here,
yeah.
this stinky whatever has streamed over 14 hours about me. Imagine if he had spent that time learning how to use the whatever, right? This is very derogatory, condescending, filthy way to speak about somebody. To first of all use stinky to describe them. That's unnecessary. You don't know them. You never met them. How do you know they stink? Then the second one is jeet, which is a racial slur, right? It's not.
Sorry,
It's
Hassan. Who is this? Sorry,
yeah.
who is this?
Daniel Hakikatu. Daniel Hakikatu,
I
famous
don't know who he
debater.
is. Okay.
I think Octavio knows him very well. We've debated a
I
lot of
know
Christian.
I know him extremely well.
He debated Sam Shamoon recently.
So what's the debate? So what's the debates?
Yeah, so if you Google him, he's quite popular. Now, am I criticizing the brother? Well, I'm criticizing what he's making public. This is something that it would be unacceptable for a 17-year-old ignorant boy to say, let alone a person of X amount of knowledge, giving da'wah, disproving Christianity and
Sorry, Hassan.
Judaism.
Sorry. Who
Yeah.
is he criticizing? Sorry.
Oh, Indians.
An Indian.
Indian Hindus generally, yeah. If you go to his Twitter, there's quite
What
a
does
bit.
jeet mean? What does jeet mean?
It's like the PAKI word for Indians.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's a very derogatory term. Now, if you are teaching me about the religion, and yet you need a teacher to teach you about the religion, what am I going to learn? I'm only going to be 1 or 2 pages behind you in most cases. Because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best of correct me, brother Dawud, because I'm not good with hadith, so I remember the vague. I'm paraphrasing it. But the best of character, you can measure a person's iman by their character, meaning a person of high faith has great character, right? The Prophet Muhammad said himself, I've come to perfect good character. Those were one of his traits. He was known to be honest. He was known not to use derogatory language. He was known not to be abusive. He was known not to be rude. His manners was a clear indicator of him as an individual before he became the prophet and after he became. Good character is a fundamental principle of the Sunnah, right? It's like keeping up with good health when you're a boxer. If you're not, you can be in the boxing gym, but if you're not exercising, eating healthily, it means nothing. And it's pretty much the same with the Deen, with Islam.
It's so crazy that you're saying that. It's amazing, such an amazing comparison because Kamato, who was Mike Tyson's original, the famous philosopher, coach, Italian, New York, old school guy. He says the differences between a good fighter and a great fighter is character. It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. And sorry, Hassan, I just had to say that, but you can continue. Apologies.
No, I appreciate. I genuinely appreciate it because it just goes down to the fundamental issue here is you've memorized something, you've understood it, or you've said the right words in such a right times, but does that seed set root into your soul, right? Octavio is saying, I see the change in language and what you're streaming and such, but I don't see the change in character. Same with JM. It's because we have, in terms of the da'wah scene to a certain degree, we have prioritized and focused on the wrong things, whether it be the Zionism and whatever it is, or whatever conspiracy theories that we have in mind, and and whether it be rebuking or debating Christians and
Correct.
such.
Correct.
If the
Absolutely.
fundamental of good character, what the Sunnah encourages, isn't there, you will be embarrassed. Somewhere you'll have somebody come into your circle, like Sneako and Andrew Tate, say the exact right words at the exact right time, tweet the right things at the right time. Oh, Zionist, this, that, that. Oh, quote certain very well known, and I've spoken about this in the other video that we did, the other live in the Shisha Kaf Muslims, which I recommend people to listen to get a greater glimpse of what other problems may lie. Um, uh, you I forget my point. What's my point? So yeah, you repeat the same words, you say the right things, but if it doesn't change your character, ultimately you have somebody like Andrew Tate or Sneako, people that are Muslims. There's no two ways about it. Sneako's a Muslim, Andrew Tate's a Muslim. I haven't heard them say anything that will take them out of the fold. And I've obviously gone into great detail about why we still say somebody's Muslim, even though they've created a great amount of public sins, like Myron. You can watch that episode as well. It's on here. That live. The reason, so I forget what's my point again? Yeah, so sorry guys, I'm a bit stuttering, but yeah, so if we do not focus on the fundamentals, which is good character, understanding the scripture, living out, and not be distracted by how much ground we're gaining in public perception, because that can undo us. Because if we focus on public perception, which I think the issue is here, I think Sneako's sitting there and saying, because it's very easy to find his tweets. It's in some cases it's difficult to avoid, right? And, and if you've met him in person, you're going to follow him, you're going to see this. So it's very difficult to avoid the things that he's saying, right? And even if you're at that table, or if you're at other tables, or if you've seen him here, you cannot go a video throughout 2024 without him saying the N-word or something offensive, something that just doesn't sit right, right? So if you think, well, at least we're gaining ground in the public perception, or you're just making yourself more vulnerable to exposing your weaknesses, right? Andrew Tate is a perfect example. He says horrible things, even after he converted, horrible things in the public sphere, right? The least, the Dawah community, and my criticism is the Dawah community and the Muslim community as a whole who keep following him. The least we could have done is, at the beginning, when he was saying horrible things, well, you're wrong here. This is not, you can be Muslim, that's great, but stop talking about Islam as your person who knows it, because there's so much you need to learn, and we shouldn't be amplifying your voice in the Muslim world, because you're going to say something or you're going to do something that's going to make us look very foolish. Why didn't we correct you before? And that's what happened with Andrew Tate.
And that's what I want Dawud to explain. And this goes back to my question, because he was sitting there with load of Dawah members. He was sitting there. These guys are they are well known. They are well known in the Dawah scene, and they're sitting there. They create an uncomfortable scenario, uncomfortable scene when brother Dawud asked him the question. It's almost like I did see Muhammad Hijab kind of trying to come back and so on and so forth. But but for the majority of the part, it was very uncomfortable, and in a sense, he felt like he could challenge you. And then I'm looking at the situation. I'm thinking, like, hold on, there should have been more of a pushback, because these guys are knowledgeable. These guys are well known in the Dawah scene. So why is it that I'm only seeing Brother Dawud here? Yeah, go ahead, Brother Dawud. Sorry.
Sorry, Dawud. Can I just say one more thing? Sorry, Octave. Sorry, guys.
Sure.
I just don't want to forget this. This one thing that really bothered me about that interaction is that if the brother Dawud is doing very well in presenting a very, very brotherly, lovely way to speak to someone, and I just don't know why he hasn't got pushback from us generally before this, because it's such an ignorant position to have. Because from an Islamic perspective, no matter what you say about the African American community today, it's not worse than what you could say about the Bedouin Arabs at the time that the Prophet Muhammad had to give da'wah to. Because what they were doing was far worse. And I think, did the Prophet Muhammad ever use derogatory terms with them? So he never. Did he ever use offensive language with them? No. Did he ever say, I'm going to say something to shock you, to get your attention? No. he chose the best of language, the best of interaction, and then he eventually won them over because the victory ultimately lies with Allah. It's not within your hands. It's not about how successful you debunk their argument and insult them, whatever it is, because the success doesn't lie in your hands anyway. If you have that religious inclination, But carry on, bro.
No, we know in what kind of just addressing what Jean-Michel said early on, and this is also will be part of my answer to your question, Brother Octavia, which is okay. So when I went there, my aim was because it was the first time that I spoke to him about it as openly. And with 48 laws, was it 48 laws? Is that the book, right?
Yeah, 48 laws of power. Yeah,
Yeah, and I do not ascribe to that book. That book is Machiavellian. It's
yeah,
very,
yeah, yeah.
it's not
It's
really,
not
it's not
good.
righteous, right? But there's one principle that is quite true, which is self-awareness. You have to be self-aware where you step in, because there's this one of the laws is never outshine the master.
Yes, I know that one.
Never outshine the master. I am. It's so I know how they view me or how Sneako view me. I knew this from before. Okay, I am someone's friend. I'm a tag along. I'm just coming. This is my stream. Okay, I move the camera the way I want to move the camera. Yeah, and I am inviting you, and these are the people who are permanent, and I need them also to legitimize myself within the Muslims and vice versa, just from a pure like branding perspective, okay, without being malicious or claiming that he's doing it for like ill intent, right? Just from a pure branding perspective, he needs them and they need him. That's what it is, and that's the biggest issue. Why this marriage that we have today, and I feel like we have to also think about tech. Oh, now we'll answer the question, brother Octavia. We'll answer the question. We really have to start thinking about technology, how technology is shaping information. One of the things I really liked about what you were saying, brother Octavia, it was about the video about racism in Christianity, and you said for some people, there's no excuse any longer to believe certain things. Knowledge is available online. You have so much access to information to educate yourself. Okay, it has never been as easy, and I agree. But it comes with a caveat and comes with a little detail. We are approaching now a time where the information that we have and the access to information um, supersedes the minds engaging with that technology. Meaning, we have to catch up in a way with that technology, because we have a lot of people, someone like Sneako, he is fairly intelligent, I would say, or intelligent, I should say. But I do see every now and then that, that's kind of, that he never had any serious training in philosophy, any serious thinking and reasoning. He's very natural, a very natural thinker and free thinker, and he's been doing this for a very long time. I've seen these videos of him when he was like 14 years old. Clearly, there's something about him that drives him. But when I was there, I was like, okay, he pushes certain ideas and he pushes them very like regularly, right? And the beliefs that he has are not his own, which is very interesting. Sometimes they are like dogma. He literally picks up dogma from Nick Fuentes.
So I got, bro. I sorry before I use my thought. I
Yeah.
got to say that literally what you're saying. What did I say to you guys from a while back?
Yeah.
I said not just him.
Yeah.
All these guys do. They search online,
Yeah.
and they pull out these phrases, these
Yeah.
catchwords,
Yeah.
these little narratives. They pluck it from the internet,
Yeah.
and then they incorporate that into their message.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, bro, but I just wanted to say,
No,
I was
absolutely.
saying these guys exactly the same thing a while back.
So
But
what I
that won't excuse him. I'm not gonna give him. I'm not gonna give Sneako a pass for
absolutely not.
racism.
No.
None of that is an
Listen.
excuse for racism. I don't care. Yeah, go
Absolutely
ahead,
not.
brother. Sorry.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of building a case, a psychological case. And this is what I was trying to do with Sneako. And the reason why I do this with people, when I talk to people about building a psychological case, is because then you can view the perspective for the closest, most objective way you possibly can, because we are all kind of like stuck into this subjectivity, right? We all look at the world from our own like what perspective. But the reason why I like to build a psychological case is then because I can then dismantle beliefs and why he believes what he believes, right? When I know that Sneako, half of the stuff that he like repeats like a parrot, and this is not to again to belittle him, but that's literally what happened verbatim. He repeats talking points that I've heard other people say before. He picks up dogma and he's very, very quick in picking up dogma. He learns it and then he fires it. The best example of that is Shane Reynolds. She picks up a very intelligent woman, by the way. She picks up and says, well, Sneako, there was a time you were down with the red pillars, right? You're like under the red pill community, and you were actually arguing for particular beliefs that you don't believe any longer. There was a time, in fact, where Sneako, and this is a long time, and I will bring this up to again to belittle him or to make him appear bad. I'm bringing this up to show you that Sneako, and it is a strength, but it is also weakness. It's a strength that he can change his position and review his position and move on and improve in certain areas, at least in his ideologically speaking, right? The weakness is that if you don't have your own beliefs, you will continuously follow other people. You will never have your own beliefs, and this is what gave me the green light to lay down every single thing that I know that he believed in. Everything I brought up, he did not deny. Anything I brought up about Myron, he did not deny. The fact that Myron believes that ABVV, as in like African American vernacular, is rubbish and it's idiotic and all of these things that they say out of ignorance. I was able to present the case for that. He then, you know what Sneako did, and this is the ultimate answer also to your question. When I challenged him or when I approached him, when I spoke to him, what he did was he did not say anything. He was listening to me, and at the points where he felt like, well, but we agree. Yeah, we do agree that there are some aspects of a particular culture that are detrimental like every other culture. But then he goes back to me and says, like, well, what is it exactly then, that you disagree with me? I said, what I disagree with you is that you're generalizing African American culture. Now, we saw people leaving the table. We saw people being very, very quiet because they prefer talking about theological things. That to me are the easy things that you can talk about some abstract ideas about who God is. At the end of the day, and this is not even controversial, I think that's the most honest opinion. We will never know until we meet the Lord. We will not know until we meet God. And we meet Allah. We will not know. All of us, we are kind of in the same boat. And that's what should keep us humble, right? That's why I do not like the discourse between Muslims and Christians. I come from a Christian background, and I mentioned this on the stream as well. And I commanded Sneako. I said, Sneako, I think what you're doing is good, building bridges. Because in the Quran, and this is something that people, and this goes back to what Brother Hassan was saying, I feel like Christians and Muslims, we're kind of in the same boat. The things that I've diagnosed with the Christians, and which is kind of changing as of late, is that the Christian, in the West at least, okay, I can't generalize. And then also, I can't speak for every single person, but what I can see, I can speak of general trends that Christianity obviously underwent shock waves after shock waves, which precedes us 200 years ago. Okay, what we experiencing today with Christianity didn't start 50 years ago. It started with people like Nietzsche, and it started with the German idealists who were dismantling this religion. The Enlightenment period was dismantling this religion, thinking they would have something better, think they would have anything better, and now they're realizing, oh shoot, what did we do? Okay, and that has created this like alienation that people had with religion, especially in Christianity. The problem what we have with the Muslims is that we are practicing our religion, but because we are focusing again on the wrong things, and the reason why we are focusing on the wrong thing on an anthropological level is because of this disfranchisement that is happening when these immigrants moved, and then the quality of immigrants that moved to the UK as well were like very simpleton people from like a lot of the Muslim countries. Okay, I think there's like a Iraqi, there's like a prominent Iraqi and Egyptian like intellectual class that moved to the UK in the 70s. But like as for the Moroccans, and I do not know about the Moroccans. As for the Pakistanis and the Bengalis, there were people who were moving from villages. So they approach the religion and even the approach of like the ontologically the way they view themselves within the UK has a very different aspect. I always say to Muslims this, and this is very important. Muslims, you're part of the fabric of the UK. You belong here. Treat this place like your home. The moment you do that, certain views you have about non-Muslims, views you have about Christians would change, and you wouldn't fall into these placeholders, these tropes that the media is creating to create decision between society, right? When you do that and you disassociate yourself from being from the UK, right? And you're like, well, I'm not really from here, or this is Darul Kufr, this is the land of the Kuffar, or Darul Harb, this is the land of. Like, when you do all of these things, what happens is that you're creating cognitive dissonance. And when you create these things, we have the mumbo jumbo that we have today. We have Muslims that sometimes decide to be from here, and then when they're criticized, they don't feel, they feel like they're not from here. And this is exactly what creates these prevents Muslims from engaging in subjects like racism or anti-blackness. It prevents them from engaging in that because they are taking on these tribalistic ideas of where their parents are from. Because there's a very beautiful example I can illustrate. Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan were on the live, and both of them used racial slurs. Okay? Andrew Tate used the N-word with the ER at the end. No, his brother Tristan used the A-word.
Who's the brother?
And Andrew used the P-word to the slur for for Asians, right? And there was the uproar. Ali Dawa and everyone else, there was the uproar. They made a video about the racism, right? With Andrew Tate. Tristan's slurs were not even discussed. No one mentioned it, all right? It wasn't even a discussion. And this shows you this idea of like group thinking and this idea of like new formations of immigration, because we also have to think about the waves of immigration within the UK, okay? And this, again, I'm explaining all of this. Why are these people not involved? Because you know what? I believe that Asians in the 70s and the 60s would have spoken up against Sneako. They would have challenged him, because we have evidence of this, where we have a Asian activist in Tower Hamlet, right? Because it's very horrible over there. Like, loads of them, that's loads of murders that took place by skinheads, right? Asians from Tower Hamlets, I have images, if I had them, I will show you, of Asian holding a placket and saying, I am pro-black, or I love being black, black power. They were holding these plackets because black was a political term that was propagated. And this is what I was saying to Sneako. I said, Sneako, you have to be very careful. You're talking about African American culture. African American culture are the forefathers of this activism that everyone benefited from the Italian mafia, the Jewish mafia, the indigenous. Everyone benefited from the sweat and tears of the black activists. They were the proto-activists in America from the time of memorial, right? As in the beginning of the foundation, the founding fathers, right? African Americans were always involved. They were the leaders of that movement. And that movement inspired Asian activists in the 60s and the 70s to take placards to protest and identify as black, because what the media was doing back then was it was black and white. There was no differentiation. That changes with the influx of immigration that happens in the 80s and 90s. All of a sudden, people who come later come into the UK that is now a bit more tolerant of immigrants, not knowing that people of African Caribbean heritage were dying on the streets, fighting for those people to come later and have a relatively safe life. Okay. All of that is not taught. There's no connection between the two. And this is one of the things that we will face with political movements, that they're really bad. And other than the bigger ones, like communist and like liberalism, the smaller ones, they're very bad in inheriting political ideas and history, just peeling history onto the next generation. All that history got lost. You find this stuff in the archives. This is why you have people who are sitting next to me who, when it comes to Palestine or when it comes to any other contemporary issues, they feel more inclined to talk about this because in their worldview, it's just more aligned, and it just aligns more with their worldview. They see the black struggle as a separate struggle. These are the images I'm talking about. They see the black struggle or the struggle of the Caribbeans and the Africans as separate. And you know who? So someone like myself as a Muslim, I semi get the same treatment because what overrides uh, their view on politics, because a lot of them are also very apolitical, and I think this is where the problem starts. A lot of them are politically illiterate. If I was to have these conversations with a lot of the Dawah brothers, they wouldn't know anything because they're so fixated on this thing that I believe is one of my critiques with Salafism, is this over zealot, overemphasize on dogma. It's too much. They theologize. So theology becomes the instrument for every single conversation. Everything leads back to theology, and this is the reason why I believe in the front between Christians and Muslims. Because I always, as a Muslim, I feel like Muslims should have higher standards. If there are Christians in a park, like Hatun, who are protagonists and are using particular tactics, I feel like Islam has given you enough tools to deal with someone like her. Okay. Again, I can't expect everyone to be a saint and have patience of a monk, but I feel like there are certain things that Brother Hassan was talking about. The fundamentals in Islam. If you were just trying, just 5% to really engage with that type of tradition, we wouldn't have half the problems that we have today. As for the Christians who attack Islam, because this could be the rebuttal, right? But the Christians who align themselves with like very far right movements, and I'm talking here about people like Spencer. I forgot his first name, Spencer. These were like sort of like
Richard,
the early, yeah,
Richard Spencer.
yeah, Richard Spencer. These type of people, right? Who were not from what I've seen at least, they weren't really like devout Christians. They were really just polemic, and they were part of think tanks, and there was loads of money involved, and all these type of things. But like as for the I think like the third generation of like apologetics or Christian apologetics, I think they again just inherit a lot of these ideas from the previous generation, and I find them to be a bit more sincere because I think one of the things, because I've seen because there's speakers corner before the cameras, and there's speakers corner before COVID, and there's speakers corner sort of like before the digital age. And I was kind of there when the digital age was just kind of coming in. And I would say that one of the things, my biggest critique was always how Muslims were treating or were handling the interaction with the Christians. I think it was totally wrong the way they did it many times. I personally, I have a very, very good relationship with a lot of the Christians in the Speaker's Corner. You can ask most of the Christians, they will tell you, yeah, Dawud, he's slightly different. Like, yeah, we like talking to this guy. He's a bit different. And the reason why is because, again, I feel like I'm following the religion of Islam by understanding that this is a theology, right? It's a 3-part series that one kind of depends on the other, and this is not even controversial to say, right? Like Christianity is a previous religion that comes, and there are reasons why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us to be very nuanced when it comes to addressing Christianity, as opposed to take this polemic view that was part of the conversation at that table as well that day when what I believe Muhammad Hijab made the statement about Andrew Tate being better than Jesus Christ in the gospel. I vehemently disagree with this characterization of the gospels and Jesus Christ within the gospels. I spent time reading the gospel, and what I found, and I said this, I don't know if you could hear it in the live. I said to him, well, what about Jesus Christ doing this? Was that not an act of bravery? And then he was kind of he kind of changed what it even changed, but he added in the definition of, like, as to say, well, that was just it was not moral bravery or physical bravery. I mean, bravery has nothing to do with physicality, or as far as I understand, bravery. Bravery is something that comes from the heart, and it is generated by the heart, right? Because it's the heart that fears and you go against. And Jesus Christ, if you read in the gospel, anyone that has read the gospel, what Jesus Christ does in Jerusalem, confronting the Pharisees, is my reading anyway, is the definition of bravery. He challenges the status quo. He challenges the Romans to an extent, okay? And he challenges the people. And that's bravery to me. And it's a revolutionary how he came through.
Oh, but by the way, brother, because you just mentioned that, and I'm still hoping that he's going to actually address the reason why a lot of people felt that he was being like a lot of people. I don't think as a Christian I wasn't like, oh, well, how dare you say that? I
yeah,
wasn't like that because I was just
yeah,
thinking you're going to compare Andrew Tate to Jesus Christ in the New
yeah,
Testament, and you think that's a
Can
valid comparison?
I just bring something back? Just in turn, I've been listening to what the brother was saying about what struck me. I know I'm getting back a bit now.
yeah, sure.
Hold on a second, James. Let me just
Okay.
quickly just mention that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was just basically to say, I was that didn't really get to me. I kind of like I wanted to hear him
Yeah,
tell me about Andrew Tate's character that is so
yeah,
wonderful, that is so
yeah,
great, and his
Have you seen
response.
his Bugatti?
Yeah, his Bugatti. Yeah, I wanted to hear him talk about his Bugatti, Andrew Tate's Bugatti and all of that.
yeah,
So my only issue with him was when he finally gave a response video, a response. He tried to compare the Jesus in the Quran with the Jesus in the New Testament. I said, hold on. That's not what people were took exception to. What people took exception to is that you compared the Jesus in the New
yeah,
Testament with
yeah,
Andrew Tate.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
wanted you to tell me what is it about Andrew Tate's character, okay? Given the information that has just come out with him and 15-year-olds and so on, please tell me what is so wonderful about Andrew Tate. I was honestly hoping that he would address that, but
yeah,
instead he made it into a Jesus in the Old Testament with the Jesus in the New Testament,
yeah,
which I kind of found a little bit like I was just like, well, I'm not in. You're gonna have your bias. You're Muslim.
yeah,
I'm gonna have my bias. So it's like it's never here nor there. Yeah, go ahead, Jay. I'm sorry. Go
Yeah. So controversial. I'm gonna make some statements that might be controversial here now.
yeah,
Going back to your statement about why, when you was addressing the racial issue, that people were ignoring what you were doing and kind of turning away. Why we have Sneako being so comfortable in saying these types of statements around the likes of Muhammad Hijab and other Muslims, um, is this a reflection of the anti-black racism? I'm not going to say within Islam. I'm not going to say that. The anti-black racism within Muslim communities and
hmm,
Muslim societies.
yes,
Is
absolutely.
this what we're seeing? Are we seeing a reflection of this? Because I think we'd be lying to ourselves if we don't acknowledge the fact that in many Muslim countries, Arab countries, there is anti-black racism.
Yeah,
There is this idea
yeah,
that the darker you are, if you're
yeah,
sub-Saharan African, you're kind of lower than. This is a belief that's unfortunately prevalent in almost all Muslim countries and Arab countries. So is this why Sneako can feel so comfortable with the likes of
absolutely.
Myron saying
I
this
No,
in
think
an
so.
Instagram?
I'm
No,
sorry, brother Dawud. I'm gonna say absolutely,
but
100%,
let me just say something.
absolutely.
Let me just say,
Mm.
so not only, I know Nelson would definitely believe that, but not just in terms of being allowed to say it, but it being tolerated or maybe even believed. Some of these
So
anti-black narratives. And
Hold on, hold on, hold on.
is this the real reason why they A are getting away with it, and B why no one's really? I mean, it took you, brother, to challenge him out of everyone there. I mean, is this why they won't challenge him? Because
And
they'd
look at
rather
how
lose.
and look at how
Yeah,
he Sneako addressed. Sorry, brother Jam. And look at how Sneako addressed the way he addressed this. Trust me,
Yeah, yeah,
nuances. You know,
yeah,
you pick up
uh-huh,
on little things. You know,
yeah,
the attitudes of
yeah,
people. It tells you a lot of information.
yeah.
And the way he addressed, oh, that black guy. There was
That
a
black
black
guy,
guy
yeah,
there. That
yeah,
black guy. You
yeah,
know, I was there with sheikhs and this and that, and that black guy.
yeah,
And I was thinking, whoa!
yeah,
I said, hold on a
yeah,
second, what's all that about?
absolutely,
And I see his attitude as well when you asked him the question. He was very confident. He was
yeah,
very confident. He
mm,
wasn't rattled one little bit. He was very confident. And I think he felt the attitude of everyone else. I think
yeah,
he's comfortable with having
yeah,
that attitude towards anyone else, and I think that was the reason
yeah,
why. That was the reason why. It didn't. To me, he didn't speak to you in a respectful manner. And this is not me saying. I'm not
yeah,
saying things so that you are against Sneako or that
yeah,
you have bad ill towards Sneako. As a Christian, I would never advocate for that. We are
yeah,
all sinners. But
yeah,
I did see his attitude towards you, even when talking to you, was absolutely and completely different. Completely
yeah. And
different.
you know what it is, and I really want you guys to like, not you guys, but for anyone who wants to watch it, like when you watch it, just watch the entire interaction. Sneeko asked me for, and I'll also reply back to Jean Michael. Yeah, uh, Sneeko asked me about. I say to him, look, I disagree with what you're saying. He said, what do you disagree with? I say to him, I disagree with you that you're generalizing African American culture. And he says, what? You don't believe African American culture predominantly is degenerate? I said, yes, absolutely. And he looked at me with disbelief, right? And I said, like, I can give you examples why it isn't and why it hasn't been from the time memorial to now. That you see there's ongoing traditions amongst the African Americans that have been prevalent from when they came off the boats till today, right? I gave him not one example, I gave him four examples. So I was lecturing the guy because Sneako, you best believe, Sneako's the type of guy or anyone on that table. If they disagree with something, they will challenge you then and there. They did not challenge me. He did not challenge me at all.
oh, he's
I invite you to do
gonna.
research. There's plenty. And when I say plenty of like papers on this, on like how ABV, African American vernacular, is actually a complex dialect. Okay, with structure, logical structure, and it's actually more efficient sometimes than standard American English in conveying, right? Um, so I said all of that, and I don't want people to ignore that bit because that's the bits that when someone comes up with something like, oh, African American culture is this and that, that you can say, well, it's not. Let's look at the language. Let's look at the education. You show me another uh, ethnicity or group of people in America that have traditional universities, all right, that are based upon African American universities with a tradition that goes far as back as 100 or 120 years. The Chinese don't have that. The Puerto Ricans don't have that. Okay. Then we spoke about economy. Okay. And I showed him by the economy how African American women outperform all the women in America. Okay. So I've shown him plenty of examples, and the guy did not budge. He didn't rebuttal anything. He didn't dissect anything. Okay. Once I was done with my lecture, because that's really what it was, and I will explain to you why they were listening and not responding in a minute. Once I was done with my lecture, because that's what I'm going to say, it was a lecture. I was lecturing people on that table. Once I was done with my lecture, I then was trying to appeal to his humanity. And I said to him, and this is
Mm,
where the pushback came back. That's where he would start pushing back. And this is where Muhammad Hijab comes in and brings examples that I was trying to illustrate. I said to him, my bro, I understand what you're trying to do. And from a social media point of view, it's smart. But you're a doctor, meaning you're on this podium. You speak to millions of people. The way you approach something, when you say something as wrong as African American culture is predominantly degenerate, you're alienating millions of people. You're alienating millions of people. And this is not about Muslims or Christianity. This, if you are speaking about certain things in culture that are bad, when you address people that way, no one is going to listen to you. That's what I said to him. I said, and also remember, the people that you like to berate so much, do not belittle the history. When I look at African American, I look at greatness. When I look at the Caribbeans, I look at greatness. Of greatness, when I look at the Africans, I look at greatness. Greatness that they survived this bestiality, these demonic movements, okay, of dehumanizing people, okay, killing people, raping people, uprooting people for hundreds of years. And yet, at the end, we have a semi-functioning community of people, okay, who as of late actually have had issues. For a very long time, there was some order between the African Americans and other diasporic communities across the globe of African descent. So this is what I'm seeing, and I'm trying to explain to him, look, these people have gone through a lot. So when you speak to them, have this in the back of your mind. You know, when Jesus or when Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or Jesus, peace be upon him, when he spoke to people, okay, he would speak to people in a way they would understand. And sometimes they would speak in a way that people wouldn't understand to make a point. But the point I'm trying to make is they were very aware of the audience. There was a level of awareness of the audience and how to convey the message. And this is why the message to this year, 2,000 years later, 1,400 years later, the message is still well and alive because they were masters of communication. And if you're saying, oh, I see these issues in community, in society, and you want to address them, and you want to change them, and you become a clown, okay? You become, you use clownery, okay? You use meme. And this is part of this internet thing that was telling, technology was telling you. It's this part of this internet culture that someone like Drake engages in. Okay, we saw the debate between the battle between Kendrick and Drake, right? And we saw that Drake was trying to use memes and all these things. It was not working, okay, because he was dealing with someone that had substance. And this is why I this is an appeal to every single one of you, Octavia, brother Michael, Michael, brother John, brother Hassan, all these brothers with substance, brothers that have perspective, brothers who can stand in a position and still view the and sympathize with the opposing views, right? It's our time to come out and speak loud. It's our time to address these issues because we have a lot of non-substantial people who have gained a following 10 years ago when they were young, they were teenagers. Okay. Now that they're grown, now they're paying bills, now that they're getting married, and now they're dealing with politics. Like all these years, they didn't go to college, they didn't educate themselves on all these issues, but they kind of were thrown into it because it's the algorithm ultimately that forces you to speak about certain subject. And this goes for every single person on that table, from Muhammad Hijab to Smile to Jannah to Ali Dawah. Their reaction videos, their reaction channels, they react on what is current. And
Yeah, but
because yeah,
brother Dawud, sorry.
yeah,
Shouts to the Fiashes. He said peace, family.
yeah,
Shouts to you, bro. Welcome to the
yeah,
channel. You see, brother, you see, my only issue,
yeah,
everything that you're saying would make sense to a person like Myron, and and even Myron, I don't give him a leeway. But the thing is, it's just
yeah,
that now the thing he has embraced Islam,
yeah,
it's like there's a code of conduct. There's someone you answer to, and
yeah,
that's only my issue with him. It's like, okay, if I'm going to address black people in a disrespectful way, in a
yeah,
racist way, then okay, let me see what my religion has to say because that's
yeah,
my authority now. That's
yeah,
that's 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 who will hold me accountable in
yeah,
the end of time. That's, you see, when it comes to religious people, my approach is a bit more harsh
yeah,
than the ones that don't know. The ones that don't know, I can't fault them too much. But even though God has given them the ability to recognize what is right and what is wrong, and to to pursue Him, but people that have taken that leap people that have, said, I convert, I am going to become religious, I am going to give, I'm going to, all the authorities with God, and God will
Yeah,
judge me in the end. I find it, and let's not be under, around the bush. Sneako has money. Sneako has money. He's not, he travels everywhere. He's got
yeah,
plenty. He's made a lot of money. He's rich.
yeah.
What I'm saying is, it's like, bro, I just find it hard to believe as a religious person that you wouldn't consult what the religion stands for. Even the way you talk, even the way you speak, even how you say things. You understand what I'm saying to you? I'm
Sorry,
surprised that
Yeah, but just quickly, just
he
just
wouldn't
because
first
sorry.
sorry, I'm just finished. He
Yeah,
wouldn't consult the religion first or the authority first and say,
yeah.
okay, all right, okay, is it right for me to call them monkeys twerking on the streets? Is it right for
I
me
think you know what
to
it is. I think what
think?
it is,
And I don't
and
see that.
I think what I think we've answered this partially, but I'm gonna be very concrete about this now. Yeah, and very direct. There's this video that Brother Hassan sent me.
I was just
It's
thinking the same thing.
yeah. So Sneako and Muslim Lantern, all these guys. And this is again, it's an evidence for me that Sneako is at the moment, or at least in his nature, he's a bit of a follower. He's like sort of like a guy who was very consistent with social media, very courageous and consistent with it, and he went out and he built a following. But like at least from what I can see, the way he's been over the time, I don't think he has like any ideas of his own, to be honest. There's this clip. Sneako sits with Muslim Lantern, Woman Hijab is there, and he asks a question. He says, "Hey, are we allowed to use the N word? Is there anything wrong in Islam to use the N word?" Again, sometimes, and people talk about like body language and behavioral studies, you can see sometimes people when they laugh because it's very uncomfortable. And you can see again, the moment this conversation comes up, Muslim Lantern is stuttering and is very careful in how he addresses things. And at the end, he gets it wrong anyway. Hijab and the people sitting there are just laughing about it as if it's something funny. Okay, but by the end of the video, Muslim Lantern gives him an explanation that I say, listen, if I was there at that table, I would have slammed at the table. I would have gone crazy. I would have never allowed it. And this is not something that I'm just saying on the online. There's people who know me from the Dawa scene. I've been in situations before where someone got too comfortable and used the word house nigger. Okay? I went crazy. I went crazy. I didn't care. There was some black brothers and they're telling me to, yo, butch. I said, nah, I'm not gonna chill, bro. None of you people, when I'm around, you're not allowed to say that word ever. I will never allow that to happen. Okay. So that video here shows you how Muhammad Ali, I think his name, sanctions and says, well, technically, that's the conclusion. Says, well, technically, it's just the word, and the word is contextualized. In the West, it's a grave sin to say it, but in the East, it's fine to say it. And I'm like, hold on. If you say nigger to me in the West or in the East, I will slap you anywhere. You best believe that. It doesn't matter what hemisphere you are in. If you address that word and you use that word, you have issues with me. And the word in the East, by the way, they have an equivalent of that, which is abd. Okay, that's how they address black people. Okay, it's a good equivalent of like the word nigger. Okay, amongst all these groups of people in the Middle East, some of them anyway. So he Sneako was literally using. He was searching for the license to kill, and he got the license. And guess what happens, brother Octavia? And the Rayan channels, that girl, right? In that
Yeah,
interview, she says, and you can see again, it's very uncomfortable. She is very uncomfortable. She keeps saying to him, Sneako, I've told you before, please stop using this word, right? And you see him, and you said he's very confident. When I was sitting next to him, that's not the vibration I was getting, by the way. The same way, when I saw him keep using that word, and then the sister says to him, please stop using it, he feels uncomfortable about it as well, himself. Okay? And then what does he do? He justifies. And how does he justify it? And that's why I lost my balls. He says, well, in Islam. When he said that I lost my balls, he said, well, in Islam. And where did he get his idea from? That in Islam it's okay and it's technically just the word. the brother over there that is holding the cup, which we're about to watch, he will give him the license to use that word, or more than ever, to use a euphemism around it, and create a situation where Sneako, I believe, from that day on was like, okay, since that is just the word, I'm just going to use it because Islamically, technically speaking, that's nothing wrong with it.
Can I,
If you
can
want
Okay.
I,
to,
Yeah,
Tommy,
go
can I
ahead,
just step
Hassan.
in for a minute? I've been listening for like, because I'm polite. So yeah, just to refute this, because I remember seeing this clip and thinking this is just nonsense. Uh, you're really just opening the window to hell, and you don't even realize it because you're going to cause so many issues. So to refute the point that you can use the N word or derogatory term to describe anyone, there are various hadiths to go against this. One, the hadith describing what the definition of backbiting is it's to refer to somebody in a way that they dislike, whether they're there or not. That's described as backbiting, so it's a sin. Now, Brother Dawud can correct me on this.
yeah.
Two, the Prophet Muhammad, one of his companions, was referred to what would be an equivalent of today's society as being the N-word. The term was, "You are the son of a black woman." When the Prophet Muhammad found out about this, when somebody referred to one of his companions in a derogatory way in reference to their African heritage, he said, "Do not refer to him that way in a derogatory way, because I am the son of a black woman." And hopefully, I'll put the context, the evidence for that hadith in the comments to the end of this of this live. So do not ever use that in a derogatory way. So you have the Prophet Muhammad himself, pointing out that you do not use racial terms. You do not use racial terms against people. And if you do it to them, you're essentially doing it to him. So that's evidence number
Brother
two.
Hassan, in fact, there's another narration, same
Yeah,
narration, where it says,
yeah.
Eds, the Prophet rebuked Abu Dar Jafari. He rebuked him
Yes,
and said,
yes,
I still
yes.
see
Oh, yes, yes, yes,
ignorance
yes.
within you.
Yes, yes. I
And
still
that
see
was so
Jahili in you.
shocking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and he said, and then the companion went up to the brother, and he prostrated, he put his head on the ground, and he said, "Put your foot on top of my head." And I have to again give the evidence for this as a sign of humility. And then the brother forgave him and said, "It's fine to move on." So it was considered something not casual, not something you would be having strawberries and cakes and coffees and creams and entertaining yourself with, and considering a light. You would say, no, this is an inappropriate way to speak to people like this. Which goes to my second point. Again, this is the root of the problem. We're picking and choosing our battles and losing both. Right?
Yeah.
You do not choose what is appropriate, what is not appropriate. You refer to the Quran and the Sunnah. It's there. There is a heritage. It is not yours. It is, you do not say, well, the Zionists and they're taking over this company and blah 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 blah. The victory does not come from. I said it again. The victory does not come from you. It comes from Allah and His it comes from Allah, and through the example of His Messenger, you will find glory and success. So you will not be so embarrassed and humiliated in the way we were by Andrew Tate, somebody who's caused so much harm as far as the image of Muslims globally, when people were in the Dawah community promoting him and saying, "Look, he's a Muslim. He's the most Google man on earth." Sorry,
And
carry on, Dawud.
and Brother
Yeah,
Hassan,
yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
quickly, also, I just wanted to say, because obviously this Brother Octavia and also Brother Michael John, I think we can have this conversation another time
Okay.
about and I'm just putting it out there so that we can address it next time.
Yeah.
Anti-blackness within Islamic tradition, as in scholarly tradition. There
Okay.
is this anti-blackness that has two origins. One which predates the pre-modern era, and then the one that comes in with like colonialism and white supremacy,
Okay.
which is very interesting to look at, and why these certain ideas linger around, and like sort of like the socio-political reasons why anti-blackness becomes prevalent at a very particular time, more so the 8th century around the Sanju revolt. We have loads and loads of material around that and how that happens. But yeah, Brother Hassan.
No, great point.
Could I
Yeah.
just add a slightly different and some nuances onto what we're hearing now? Because
But yeah, are we
Yeah.
gonna watch the video or?
to be honest,
Yeah,
I don't.
we're gonna watch.
Oh yeah. I don't. I
It's up
would.
to
I would.
you. It's up to you
I
guys.
don't
It's
really
up
want
to
to
you
watch.
guys.
I personally don't want to watch it. But if you guys want to watch it, but this,
Mm.
I know what happens here. But this is the point I'm going to make: is that what I made a couple of videos a while back. I made this point that when people feel victimized, or they come from a community where has been real oppression. What they do sometimes is they'll do something I call punching down. So they look around themselves and say, "Well, who? I can't go at the people that are actually causing my oppression or the oppression of people around the world. So who can I victimize? Okay, I'll victimize those guys because those guys, they have less power than I do. So if I and they have less protection than I do. So if I have a go at these guys, it gives me some sense of self-esteem because now I can victimize another group. This is what I'm seeing when I see. So I'm afraid some of these Muslim guys, the way they talk about black people, because let's keep it real, guys. Jews are kicking Muslims' asses right now. That's just a fact of the matter. I know it sounds harsh, but what's going on in Palestine is Jews systematically destroying Muslims. And because these Muslim guys can't do anything about it, and they're too scared to address the real boogeyman, the real people that are kicking their asses, they would never have this discussion. Let's hear the discussion about the racial epithets against Jews. Why don't they bring that up in the discussion? Let's hear them talk about, can we use, I'm not going to say on this channel, can we use some of the racial epithets about Jews? Does Islam allow us to say that? Let's hear that conversation. Let's see how brave they are to say that, have that conversation on their channels. They'll never do it. Sneako will never approach Muhammad or whoever's on that video and talk about let's discuss the racial epithets against Jews and does Islam allow us to say it. They wouldn't dare. So what that shows you is that they're cowardice, first of all, and the anti-blackness. Because why are they so concerned about using the N-word? Black people aren't doing anything to them. What are African Americans doing to Muslims? Well, who are doing things to Muslims? Why don't you talk about where's all the smoke for those guys? That's why I have no respect for these guys whatsoever.
I'll just summarize my point. Can I just summarize my point before we play the video? Sorry. So, in terms of racial epithets against Jews, black people, Hindus, whoever, impermissible. The Quran and the Sunnah do not allow it because we're better than that, and the religion is better than that. Whatever
absolutely.
we see in this is nothing but cowardice, feeling like we're doing something, but we're really doing nothing, and it's in a sense making things worse for ourselves in the long run. Thirdly, one pushback on Brother Dawud I'd just like to give. I've noticed I would never. Sneako came from the US to London, and he bypassed the Salafi community. I'm not Salafi, and although I learned from them a lot, I'm not Salafi. One thing I respect about the Salafis is they're very rigid in certain aspects, which is suitable because if he was to approach them, they would say, "Who are you?" What they would go through his social media with a fine-tooth comb. They would convey who he's associated with. They would monitor everything that he does. So it would not this sort of streaming and being absurd online and then coming back to the group and doing what he wants to do would never have happened within the Salafi community. I have my criticism of them, but it definitely wouldn't happen there. And that's to be done if you guys want to carry on playing.
I just want to highlight what Sarah. Shouts to Sarah. She says, "Where is the video? It's Sneako and Luca talking. Can someone link Luca Dawood's YouTube page?" I think that message was for you, brother Dawood.
It's on Rumble. I think I know this sister. Sorry, sister. I've been able to respond to her. Mashallah, she's a very good sister, and her and her husband are very, very good people. Mashallah, they're from up north, from Bradford. So very, very cool people. Sister Sarah, please, if you can, you and Yassine, mashallah, may Allah bless you. You're beautiful people. Subscribe to this channel. It's a very interesting channel, and there's loads of good things coming up from this channel.
Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate it. She also says, what do you call it? Also, why does Mo Hijab find everything funny? These guys just want to please Sneako because, in their twisted opinion, they don't want him to ever leave Islam. So they saying the N word. I think it's a mixture of things. Everything that we've mentioned, I think, is all part and parcel. I don't think
correct,
it's one
correct,
particular thing. I think it's
correct,
all
correct.
a mixture of things.
Hmm.
This is what I think. That we've also got David H. I think he's trying to insult the channel. I'm not sure. He said 4 viewers. We've got yeah, doesn't matter, brother. We've got 7 viewers now. It wouldn't matter if I had 100 million. But shouts to you, David H. Welcome to the channel. Um, hold on a second. I can
While you
tell
do
you
that,
for a
Dami, I
fact.
just want to make a quick point. Sorry, was you going to read out something else? I just wanted to make a quick point.
Uh, yeah. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Sorry, it's just another thing that sister comment made me reminded me. I think we need to understand that there's this element of ego here and celebrity and clout chasing. Let's just keep it real, guys. Some of these guys, I know they're knowledgeable on Islam, but it takes me back to that film that the Devil's Advocate with
Yeah. I've seen that movie. Yeah.
remember the last scene? What did he get in with at the end? What did he say to him at the end?
Well, it's to do with vanity, really. That was the
There
sin
you
that he
go.
fell for.
That's
He
what he
fell
said.
for the sin of vanity.
Right. Remember he said that I
That's what
always get
the
them.
devil used that against him. Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
It's-
That's what the devil said. I always get them with vanity. That's what his always go-to thing is to get these guys. I'm afraid that's what we've seen with the Muhammad hijabs and the sneakos. They know very well that having sneako around brings eyes onto them and brings that's the vanity there.
Mm.
And it goes both ways. He gets
Yeah,
validation from Muhammad hijab.
yeah,
Muhammad hijab gets a sense of, oh, I've got more eyes than me now because Sneako, a so-called celebrity, is around. And that's another reason why they won't check him as well.
yeah.
And why they won't check Andrew Tate. If Andrew Tate came to London, Muhammad hijab would immediately be jumping up and down. How can I get him on my channel? How can I have another dinner with this guy? He would love it. So this is what these guys are. A lot of these guys, I've realized now, a lot of it is ego and attention seeking, clout chasing, which, to be honest, is a bit sad because, again, I have a very definite view of what a religious person is and what they find and what their life
And
purpose becomes. And when I see people engaging in this type of shallow clout chasing and
and this is the
excusing
danger.
of degenerate behavior, I lose complete respect for them.
And this is the danger. This is the danger of like fame and the danger of luxuria, right? This is the danger. And I remember like last time when I was a hijab, and Ali as well. I spoke to them about this. I said to them, guys, I was chilling with you guys for like 2 days, and it was too much. Like the fact that people just come up to you guys all the time, the fact that people come with money, the fact that people like you want to pay for something, nah, it's all in the house, or I pay for this, or like just like to me it was very unusual to like because I was with the brothers before and I could literally see that materially things have changed in their life. And I said to them, I was like, oh man. And I was making a joke out of this, yeah. And then Hijab was laughing. I was like, yo, Hijab, you've been corrupted, man. You've been corrupted by the worldly life, you know. And in a more serious setting, I did address Ali as well before, and I said this to him. I said to him, hey, bro, when I was with you guys, that's one of the things that I've noticed. And he acknowledged and said, hey, it's important that you say that, you know. And I think maybe I don't know if he was reflecting on it, but he said, look, this because of this, I have this and this to hold me back and hold me down. But nevertheless, that level of access, that level of like ease that comes with the perks, I would say, with like being famous and having millions of subscribers, puts you in a position where you have more to lose. You have more to lose, and you may not agree with that, and you may say to yourself, "No, I have nothing to lose because blah blah blah." But you do have something to lose now because you've built up a platform that is massive, and you have to protect that platform. Hence, why there's certain things they don't address. Hence, why there's certain things they don't discuss. And also, in their defense, they tend to focus on things that they feel naturally more inclined to. Brother Sarah, if you go to Rumble, sorry, because I think she asked the same question. If you go to Rumble and you type in Sneako and you type in Sneako, and you should find it. It's one of the last few live streams that he put up. It's the one where we all sitting in a restaurant, and then I'll what we'll do. I will send the link to you like later, inshallah, because I saw your message. message, but I hardly use my messenger on Facebook. Sorry, brothers.
Sorry, brother.
But yeah, I
Sorry,
think
brother. Dawud.
this is a
Sorry,
beautiful.
brother. Dawud. Sorry, brother. Dawud. Before you
Yeah,
continue, yeah, can we just play the video
yeah,
because I don't want to have it too long on the screen.
yeah.
Can we
Sure.
just get it out there?
Yeah, he has. Thank you, brother.
It's better. Guys, by the way, it's Musa behind the camera. It's not Needles. He's not here yet. But yeah, you were saying,
Yeah, so I was saying there are certain things.
you bring in an analogy.
I was saying there are certain things that in the West that it's more gracious, it's more problematic to do. They don't look at it as big as a big of a problem as other things, right? So for example, it's okay for you to like for your daughter to go outside barely wearing any clothes, you know, in the streets, hanging around with the wrong type of men, you know, developing habits from them. It's her choice, you know. She's old enough to do all of these things. But then you have certain things, like for example, and let's not talk about this too much, but for example, you have the idea of the N-word, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
Why is Sneako seeing his chat? Okay. Bro, focus on them. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Okay. What happened? Okay. Oh.
Yeah, it's like it's a major sin in Islam, right? The idea of the N-word, for example.
Yeah.
Right? This is like
N-word.
one of the, let's put it.
Don't say N-word. This is racist things because you are Muslim, and that's why you don't need to say this word. Okay, don't say this word. Okay.
Equal.
This video is very hard to find. That's why I found this reaction clip. So
That's all right. That's all
that's
right.
the context.
To major sin in
It's
Islam.
okay.
Yeah, it's like it's a major sin in Islam, right? For them, this is equivalent to what we call a major sin in Islam. For a person to say this about another person, this is like you've done
That's a major sin?
No, I'm saying this is how the West looks at it.
Okay.
This is what I'm saying.
In Islam, you could say the N-word, right?
Yeah, look.
I was about to say it, but it's Ramadan. I don't want to.
There you go.
Look, these are all in Islam.
So is that a yes or no?
I'm gonna answer you.
Okay.
Is N-word is halal?
I'm trying to make a complete. We came to the N-word now. Yeah, look. You want to put me in trouble? Look.
I know. I just want to know.
No, it's okay. Words in Islam are in the end words. But if these words do cause harm to a specific group of people or a specific individual, then it would be recommended from an Islamic point of view.
It causes. Yeah, you know. It causes. It hurts people every time. I think so. I don't know about those people's feeling, but I know if someone bullying anyone, then he can get hurt from those words. If you are Muslim, don't say this word because you know you can't hurt people as a Muslim. Allah don't like it. Allah doesn't like it, bro.
Do not to say it to these specific, not to be derogatory towards other people. In Islam, racism is a complete no, right?
Okay.
So if this specific thing is considered a sin and it would hurt a specific group of people, then Islam would not allow you to be saying these things just here and there whenever you want, right?
What about in a friendly way?
This is what I was about to say.
Okay.
I know you just want to say it for some reason, but look, let's say you are sitting with your friend. You mentioned that word. There is nothing in the Quran or Sunnah or a Hadith tradition will say to you, okay, now you have a sin because you mentioned this word, right?
Okay.
So this is what I'm telling
So
you. In
stupid.
the West,
I'm sorry.
how big of a problem?
Should I carry on, or do you guys want
Yeah,
to? Should I carry on?
I think that's enough. He basically licensed it. He licensed it.
Yeah.
He said it's. He licensed it, bro. He licensed
Yeah.
it. Nah, it's
Yeah.
it's cool. It's cool. It's cool.
And
He gave him a license, and the fact that they were being playful about it, and and kind of
Why
having a
is this
joke
conversation? But why is this conversation even happening? I don't understand. Why is this even a topic of conversation?
because of Sneako.
Can I
There's no
answer
black
James'
people.
question?
There's no black people on the
Yeah.
table.
There were actually
Black
there were two
people.
Somalis.
There's not a black person asking the question. The reason why
No,
someone came
there
into
was black people on the table, Michelle.
oh sorry,
Brother Dawud, you sound a bit muffled.
Sorry,
Your sound.
apologies. Yeah,
Yeah.
apologies.
but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah. Go
say it
ahead,
again.
Jeb. Go ahead,
I'm
Jeb.
gonna say
Go ahead, Jeb.
it again. Would they have this? Would they have that nuanced conversation about Jews and the racial epithets that Jews have? No, they wouldn't, because they'd be afraid to. And this is my issue: it's a lack of respect. The answer should have been no. That's simple as that. No, you shouldn't use that word as a religious man. No, it's as simple as that. I have to be honest. In any Christian I know and have been around, if that conversation came up, it'd have been a point blank no.
Yeah,
In any context, you don't use words
yeah,
like that, because the origins of the word are derogatory. The origins of that word are to create division and to create the idea of a lesser human being. So that would have been a no, straight up no. It's a bit disturbing to me that these guys were flirting around a word like that. There's very negative words about Muslims that people use. I'm sure they'll be much more clearer if those words were brought up in terms of should we be using them or not.
And those words would also be wrong. If there's derogatory terms against the Muslims, it would also be
Absolutely.
a sin. In a religion, it would also be a sin. All Muslim lantern had to say is, don't do it. It's sinful. Don't do it. But
yeah,
when he said, oh, but does the Quran and he brought up the Quran and the Hadith, and that's when you see, I don't mind people misbehaving and people doing bad things or wrong things. I'm okay with that. None of
mm,
us are perfect. Okay,
mm,
when you start mentioning scripture and now
yeah,
you're speaking with the authority of
yeah,
scripture, it's like
yeah,
now you got to be very,
yeah,
very careful where you
yeah,
go from there.
yeah,
Because what he
yeah,
basically said, well, the Quran and the Hadiths, if you just say the word by itself, it doesn't really have. And it's like, bro, and another thing as well, he noticed that Sneako really wanted to use the word. He even said,
yeah,
"Look at this guy; he
yeah,
just wants to use the word."
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
bro, but you mentioned in the scriptures, you're
yeah,
literally giving this guy
yeah,
a
yeah,
green light. You're saying,
yeah,
"Cool, use it, bro." Like,
yeah,
go ahead,
Can I
brother.
just
Go
say?
ahead.
Can I
Yeah,
just
go
say
ahead,
two things?
Hassan. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
so
go
in
ahead.
terms of the Quran, I've said it before, I've said it again, and I'll say it again and again. The Quran and the Sunnah go into immense detail. You could you could spend the rest of your life perfecting your character and using the Quran and the Sunnah as a resource, and you would still have another lifetime's worth of studying to go through. For example, the Quran says when you enter into people's homes, do say salams to everyone. In a sense, do not ignore people when you enter into their homes. Be respectful, be polite. For Allah takes all things into account. So the idea that this is just a word, it doesn't harm you. It's quite a dismissive, nonchalant way to speak about such a major issue. So to defend the Sunnah and the Quran, not that they need defending, but unfortunately they've been somewhat misrepresented here. It's not permissible to be obnoxious, verbally dismissive, derogatory towards people in any way, shape, or form. It's not even permissible to be impolite from the Quran and the Sunnah. So let us not go all the way to dehumanizing words as an example. Just don't be rude is discouraging the faith, and being dehumanizing people through language is strictly forbidden. So that's from the Quran and Sunnah perspective.
And that makes perfect
It's them.
sense, because that's what religion is supposed to do. It's supposed to bring people closer to God, closer to a holy, virtuous human being.
It's
So that
God's
makes sense.
property. That's God's property. We're all God's property. We have no permission to vandalize God's property. You cannot
yeah,
dehumanize people in any way, shape, or form. That's vandalism from God's perspective. So why would He authorize it? And He doesn't. Having said that, second point, great question, JM. Why is this going on? Why is this discussion? It's the new trend. Unfortunately, a guy can just come in from anywhere, put a camera at the end of a table, and people will just start blibbering.
yeah,
Please have your conversations focused. Don't just
yeah,
talk for the sake of talking. Eat your
yeah,
food, then talk. Stop
yeah,
talking about major things. Oh yeah, yeah. Call people and yeah, cake, cake, cake. Eat. Cup of tea. Well, which restaurant we're going to next? Okay, this important discussion. Dismiss that. Next. What is this? We wouldn't talk about business like this. We wouldn't conduct job interviews like this. The guy's stuffing his cake, and this was coming in. Could you stand up? Could you move the thing, please? Could you put the camera here? And okay, is that live? Which camera are you using? We'll talk about the religion of God. being presented to millions of thousands, tens of thousands of people. It is better to say nothing than to say the incorrect thing about the religion. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, it is better to say nothing if you have nothing good to say. That's the authentic hadith. And yet we're
And meanwhile, the brothers sorry, I just got to put this in. Meanwhile, the Muslim brothers are being massacred. Okay. Meanwhile, while they're laughing and joking about the N-word, the Muslim babies are being beheaded and massacred with bombs. Why you talk about that?
Wow.
Yeah. And well, I mean, and then instead of slicing and dicing which Jew works where, what position does this Jew have? There's a CEO of British Telecoms is Jewish. Although let's not forget the fact that 25% of British Telecoms is owned by Qataris and so on and so forth. It's entertainment mixed in with religion, which is like urine and perfume. It doesn't help the situation.
Also, what's it called? And that's a beautiful hadith that the brother just brought up. But Sister Sarah said something very interesting, and this is something our brother Octavia maybe to put in into conversation. She said, "What if Sneako would ask them, am I allowed to use the P word? Am I allowed to use the P word to describe my Asian brothers? Am I allowed
Don't go back to London. Don't come back to London if you do.
If you do that, you're not coming back to London. You can't travel across the UK. The guys up north, by the time you reach Birmingham, they will be putting you in containers. You know what I mean? Like this is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. Like when Tristan and Andrew Tate did what they did on the live stream using the Yan word and the P word, the entire Muslim community went ballistic for the right reasons. I'll be with them protesting that someone like Andrew Tate has the license to use the P word. Like, who are you? Who do you think you are? Well, because you drive a Bugatti. I don't care. I don't care where you're fighting. Like, these are the streets, my bro. Like, this is different here. You can't just come here and because you talk, because you're the naughty guy in school. These guys are contrarian. That's the issue with them. And they're very proud to be contrarian. Oh, I got cancelled. I'm so proud. Like that I can speak my mind and no one else like fears to speak their mind. Bro, Malcolm X has been speaking his mind from the 60s, bro. Like anything that you guys are doing, nothing is new. It's not new. This idea, even like when Sneako gets up and goes like, well, we need to speak about the African Caribbean community in the UK. My bro, you've been here for the second time in your life, or whenever you used, bro, like have some decorum, man. Like, what do you know about Caribbean culture? What do you know about Caribbean culture in the UK? You're not even from here. Okay.
Yeah, what about Jewish culture that's bombing your brothers? What about that Jewish culture?
Yeah.
Talk about that. I keep bringing it back to that because it's cowardice as men. As men challenge the people that are oppressing you. That's where your focus should be.
But that's
not on
the
the
problem.
African Caribbean community that you have nothing to do with, you don't know anything about, but you know it's an easy target. There's people bombing the hell out of your brothers right now. Deal with that.
But you see, the problem with Sneako is that he would then turn around and say, well, the exact same that you're saying, I do talk about. And in fact, Andrew Tate talks about this, but they use the word the Matrix. They say the Matrix does this, the Matrix does that.
I'm glad you said that, bro. I've got a great comment to come with you after this. I'm glad you went there.
Right? So they do say that. They say, well, we do talk about this. And there's tweets where Sneako talks about Israel and blah, blah, blah. But bro, so does that girl who's from Cambridge and is vegan, a lesbian. She talks about Israel the same way. Again, you're not that unique, right? In that sense, right? So I think personally, look, I will make personally, I will make a reaction video. I think like we have to keep this conversation going. There's like loads and loads of like polarization happening. Loads and loads of people are waking up to certain things that the media's been pushing, and there's like a real thirst for like knowledge and truth. And this is one thing that I was alluding to when I was talking about the Christians, the dilemma that the Christians went under, and the dilemma that the Muslims are going under now, is that.
Sorry, brother Dawud. What's you probably would know this, but what ethnicity is Sneako again?
He's a quarter Filipino, or half Filipino, quarter Irish, and quarter Haitian. His father would in America would be considered black. And this is where he gets his like license, like, well, I'm black myself, but then he never identifies as black, which is kind of
Yeah,
strange.
yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
brother, that would carry on.
yeah.
What were you saying before?
So
Yeah.
what I was saying is that we are in very, very dire, in a very dire state of affair in terms of humanity. And I always say this: people of religious faith, and I'm including, and I'm very like, I include a lot of people when I say this, okay? Because again, before when we were having a conversation at the live stream, they were having a conversation about Christianity and how they would prefer. I mean, again, I love these brothers' debates because I know them on a personal level. But like from a public standard point of view, sometimes I'm like, how do you come up with stuff? They said something like, um, they said, well, I would prefer my son to be this before he's Christian. Like that's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's like religious text that goes against what you say. There's religious text that goes against what you say. Well, I would prefer my son to be a dinosaur before he's Christian, or I would prefer my son to be a dog before he's Christian. This is all
Do you know?
semantics.
Sorry, brother. Though, do you know
Yeah,
what I found crazy about that statement? Is it's
yeah.
not what he actually said. Is what was the reason for even bringing it up? What was the
Because yeah,
what was the intention behind even bringing it up? What was the
yeah.
intention?
It's because Sneako said in reverse in on a live stream that he would prefer his kid to be a Christian before he's
Oh,
homosexual.
okay.
And then they were, and you see, brothers, we talked a lot today, and there was so many great points. I'm gonna have to come back and just watch this again because there were so many great points made by everyone. Yeah, here. I said this before. I said the problem is theology or overemphasize on dogma and theology. Look at the video that we just watched with Muhammad Ali, right? Muslim Lantern. What does he do? The first thing that he does when he wants to draw an example, he says, in the West, right? In the West, it's a major sin to say the N word, like, and he's using that as an equivalent to shirk in Islam, right? He says that, well, in the East, the worst thing you could do is commit shirk or say something shirky, right? In the West, it would be say a racial slur, right? Like again, this overemphasis on theology. They theologize everything, and so much to the point that the dogma makes the point not invalid. So they come up with like these like monstrous, like almost idiotic. And I'm not referring to them, but I'm saying if you follow through with this dogma and you're very dogmatic every single time that you have to be on dogma and you don't infuse self-thinking, and this is one of the reasons why I have my criticism with like how some of the brothers behave, but like one thing I would say I love so much is that Muhammad Hijab is a free thinker, and as a free thinker you will come up with ideas that are sometimes just not strong enough or not well thought out, right? Like the idea of comparing Andrew Tate and Jesus Christ from the gospel, peace be upon him. That's it's just he was trying it. He was literally trying to push an idea and he was challenging his own idea. He put his idea to scrutiny, basically, right? So I appreciate that. But then the side effect of that is that you will be
Wait, bro, that was blasphemy what he did. Let's just keep it real, because
yeah, I mean,
if anyone else
yeah,
came out here and tried to say that Andrew Tate is like, I don't know, flipping Michael Jackson, or is that the Prophet Muhammad, people would go crazy with that type of statement.
of course, absolutely,
So what he
absolutely.
did there was blasphemy. I don't think it was free thinking. It was just a complete
No, no.
insult to
What I mean by
Christians.
free
It's
thinking is that
what he did there.
what I mean by, and I disagreed with him then and there. I'm saying free thinking in the sense that he's more open to entertain certain ideas and think about them. Whether they're correct or blasphemous, that I mean that's a separate conversation. I'm just saying that every single time these brothers speak, they speak with this dogmatic understanding of like what religion is, and therefore they come up with these like crazy examples they use. Like for example, the equivalent to racism in the Muslim world in the East. is shirk.
So
When that,
if I did compare the Prophet Muhammad to Michael Jackson, is that blasphemy?
of course, it's blasphemy. It's blasphemy.
Okay, okay, well, okay, let's
Yeah.
okay. So then you can't tell anything. You're not sure if comparing Jesus Christ to Tate is blasphemy. It's the same thing.
No, but I didn't disagree that it wasn't blasphemous or it wasn't or was
Okay.
deeply offensive. I'm not
To me,
arguing against that.
to me, that's just if that's if that statement towards Muhammad is blasphemy, then we can't say that statement towards Jesus Christ, who
Of course,
Christians
it's
believe. Yeah,
improper.
it's both blasphemy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely it's improper to use those comparison, and it's indecent and it's dangerous. You know, of if someone of his caliber to use an example, and it's really poorly thought out as well. If you want to hear my critique, it's a very poor thought out idea that he was presenting there.
No, I 100% agree. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why he did it. I don't. And the thing is, we can only stipulate. We don't know the reasons. We don't know the guy. We don't. I know. I've never spoken to the guy before, so I don't know what his motivations were. But yeah, as a Christian, me personally, I didn't take it. I didn't take. I mean, as a Christian, I didn't even take it as an insult. I just thought for someone of his caliber and the kind of people that he has debated with. Sorry, brother, I'm just getting some feedback in the background. Jim. So someone of his caliber and someone who has debated loads of people, and he's known, he's been on Piers Morgan and so on. For him to say that, it's like it's almost a stain on his own reputation
yeah,
because I don't see scholars even ever even going there with that.
yeah,
I'm not calling him a scholar. I'm not calling him a scholar. I'm not calling him anything of that nature. I thought you're not insulting me because Andrew Tate is someone who sold women for money. He's like
yeah,
it's someone who's done abhorrent things, and you're talking about Jesus Christ, a historic. Even if you're not a religious person, a historical figure who has literally changed the world. You're trying to compare Andrew Tate to that. So
yeah,
it's like for someone of your caliber where you are in terms of speaking to people of because I think he's debating Lane Craig or something like that
yeah, yeah,
soon. And it's like for you to say something like that, and he's Oxford. He went to Oxford University,
yeah,
and for him to do that, it's like, bro, that looks bad on you, not on Christianity, not on us. All we're gonna do is just literally laugh at it because it's like it just exposes you. It puts you in a bad light, if anything, for you to praise Andrew Tate and given the things that Andrew Tate was being accused of as well. Yeah, yeah, bro. So I mean, that's yeah, bro. Carry on, brother
Can I
David.
just ask you a question? What is Andrew Tate saying that is in alignment with Islamic philosophy?
That's what I wanted to hear. That
yeah,
was the response,
yeah,
brother. That was what I
yeah,
wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that instead. He did something that personally, I'm not judging him. I'm not God, but personally, I found it deceptive because he went on the he was comparing the Jesus in the Quran, the account of Jesus in the Quran, with the account of Jesus in the New Testament. I was like, that's not what people were upset about. That's not what people kind of go angry about. It wasn't because of that. It was because of Andrew Tate and Jesus in the New
yeah,
Testament. That's what the issue was,
yeah.
and he never ever addressed that. And I really wanted to know what was it about Andrew Tate's character that was so great that the New Testament Jesus character wasn't
I
shown.
think
That's what I
I
wanted to.
think he mentions it. I think it's mentioned because I was sitting next to them, so I heard the prior conversation that he had. Um, so basically, I think he was basically making an argument for Andrew Tate's bravery and like his battle that he took against the so-called feminists and sort of bringing back masculinity to an extent. Because Mohammed Hijab is very, very critical of some aspects of what Andrew Tate considers masculinity. In fact, in the same stream, he is very quite harsh, I believe, towards Andrew Tate. He says, well, for example, he calls Andrew Tate a caffeine addict. He says he's addicted to coffee, and he's addicted to cigars. Because he says, well, this has been a caricature of like masculinity that you only a man if you drink a cup of coffee every day. And like I think he's very like harsh there. And then Sneako even says to him, "Oh, I don't think Andrew Tate is gonna like this," you know. But he says, "No, I don't care. I'm gonna have to say this," you know. But I think overall, it's something that I've heard another brother say is that sometimes with like the religious community that is active online, they are basically engaged in various of like issues. You know, at one point, you know, atheism was a problem that every Dawa person was trained upon and was caring about, and you know, they were talking about this continuously. I mean, hijab is quite well known for that, debating, you know, atheists. And then there was at one point it was Christianity, and then at one point it was about all these like social justice warriors, you know, the like liberalism and all that type of stuff, right? Again, and this is it is that's what I said with technology. Everything that we see here is driven by the algorithm, meaning essentially, if someone controls the algorithm, someone is controlling the zeitgeist almost. It's very, I mean, it's impossible to control the zeitgeist entirely, but you can influence what people care about and what people talk about on social media, right? And this is the problem when you have um, YouTube channels that are based upon reacting on things. Sometimes is that you are constantly at the behest of the current conversation. So whatever comes up, you have to comment on it. You know, which sometimes leads you to thin because you can't comment possibly on every single thing, but yet a lot of the brothers do comment on a lot of things, and sometimes they don't comment on other things because they're just you know, spread too thin. So someone like Hijab, who looks at someone like Tate, he views them from a perspective of I was combating uh, liberalism and I was combating feminism. This is where this triunion, and I'm using this word for lack of a better term, between someone like Daniel Haikikachu, who was sort of like a trailblazer in this like sphere that we see today. He, you know, he was very one of the first people who were online. And Daniel Haikikachu, for those who are watching, is the guy that Hassan brought up earlier, who was talking or insulting a Hindu on Twitter. He was a trailblazer, or one of the first people who came online talking or attacking feminism and pushing back on feminism, on liberalism. At the same time, you had someone like Ali Dawa, who was doing it more from like a societal perspective, and then you had someone like Hijab, who's doing it on the intellectual level, right? So this is how these people kind of like were, you know, lined up together and were sort of like polemic in that regard, and that changes with time. It keeps changing. Then it's race, then it's politics, right? But like one thing that I just wanted to say, when it comes to politics, if you they hardly have anything to say about politics. And this is because they're apolitical. And this is, I believe, an influence that comes from the Salafi movement, you know, a quietist movement that isn't involved in politics due to the fact that the way the methodology is built is to protect the regime in whatever country they're in. So in Saudi Arabia was built upon three pillars. The pillars were the religious class, the family, the Saud family, the royal family, and petrol. These were the three pillars that Saudi Arabia was built upon. And because of this triunion, um, the way Islam is practiced and the way Islam is understood is designed in a way where, like, a political approach isn't warranted or welcomed. Okay, and then they have all these religious texts to do that. And again, I'm mentioning all of these things for everyone to understand why certain things happen the way they happen. There is a reason why certain things happen. And we've been asking these questions. Why is there racism, or why is there racism being propagated? Because some of the people agree with these racist views, because certain people just don't have a dog in this fight, so they don't care about this, right? And sometimes um, it's a lack of courage, and I think we've established this today, that there's just the lack of courage on some people's part. But I think what we can do, I mean, what's the solution to this? All right. The solution to this is to really appeal to uh, the righteousness that I believe people of the book or the Muslims, and I'm here speaking to the Muslims in particular, right? Because this is my community. I'm trying to appeal for them to, you know, reach and aim for the higher form of existence, which leads back to God, and that's what Tawheed is all about. Tawheed is not just a mere uh, abstract theory to talk about God in a way that you couldn't possibly understand anyway. You know, like the main factor that makes Tawhid so interesting is that you direct yourself towards God and you run towards God, and you everything that you do is towards God. And when you do that, and when you understand God in that way, it has a reflection in your character, and it reflects in the way you interact with people. It reflects on how you view issues. It reflects on how you direct yourself at issues like racism and issues like Islamophobia, issues like the barrage and the attack that we've seen on Christianity. Yes, we disagree on points, theological points of views. And I said this before, and I was not convinced. I had this debate, well, not a debate, but I had a discussion with a senior student of knowledge. And he said to me that he would prefer to, like, for people to be highway robbers than going to church. And I'm like, and I said, no, I said I would prefer people going to church than being highway robbers. And he explained to me, well, that's wrong because those people worship a false god. And highway robbers um, are just highway robbers. But then, Islamically speaking, a highway robber, if you're Muslim and you're a highway robber, you don't even get the burial. You don't even get a burial. You know, you're like, this is, you're ostracized if you're a highway robber, right? And um, they forget the aspect of religion that is based upon a societal manifestation, which means that if you have Christians in a region or in a place that are just worshiping and doing what they do, you are relatively much more safer than living there, than living amongst thieves and criminals. I mean, that just screams, it's logical. I mean, it doesn't get. Do you know what I mean? Like, how much more clearer does it go? Do you know what I mean? If you well, look at this,
I
if you
sorry,
are
brother.
allowed, if you're allowed to marry a Christian according to the Quran, okay, if you're allowed to marry a Christian, then you're laying out next to a Christian every night, as a Muslim man. Then how in the hell is it more better to live, amongst highway robbers than Christians? Do you know what I mean? Like, and this is
You see,
Quran, right?
brother Dawud, I look at it like this. They are supposed to be, when you think of the dawah, you think of religion.
Yeah,
They are, religion is attached to them. I'm starting to think, and Nom Ali, shouts to Nom Ali, he mentioned it as well. He said it seems to be like they're more worried about likes and
yeah,
whatever the
yeah,
likes and people,
yeah,
following them, having followers and likes and all of that type of stuff. Um, and maybe that's the reason why they are tolerating Sneako, who
mm,
personally, I mean, to me, what the religion says should be what comes first. It's what the religion
yeah,
says that comes first. Nothing else should come first, especially if you're promoting yourself to the world as someone who has converted, who is now into religion and all of that type of stuff. And I'm not seeing that, and I think normally it was onto something. I know it's always a group of things. It's never one thing.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, I think the likes and the followers is starting to. And guys, we're not going to go on for too long anymore because we've
yeah,
been at it for about 3 hours. And I think we've done a really good job at even breaking down this topic from every angle possible. And I do want to continue this conversation with Brother Dawood because, bro, in this channel, we value people from all, different belief systems and see if we can come together and reason in a respectful manner. But I'm starting to think that this is what they are prioritizing rather than what the religion teaches. If the religion goes against
yeah,
racism, what
yeah,
should have happened is when
And
Sneako asked that question, it when
yeah,
Sneako asked that question, Sneako should have been put in his place immediately. He should
yeah,
have been told, "Listen,
yeah,
there is no leeway. There is no room for you to maneuver and spread a little racism because that's what
yeah,
Sneako was doing. Let's be all the way clear. This is what makes me question Sneako's conversion because Sneako's not a stupid person. He is
mm,
someone who has been in the internet on the public eye for a very long time. He has money. He is conscious of what he does. And when he made that conversion, he's not a child. You know what I mean? So
mm,
so so what Sneaker was doing is he was asking for permission. He was asking for permission, and he got that permission from
yeah,
people who are seen by the public as religious figures in Islam.
yeah,
So once Sneaker got that thing, then he started running wild with it. And this is what I'm
mm,
saying. So maybe the followers, the likes, the attention that people are getting, maybe the money that they're getting from online, maybe all of that is getting to their head, and they felt that you know what? Let me not upset Sneeko. Let me not say
mm,
something that, because Sneeko might turn around and say, I don't want to be a Muslim no more. And that could go against, you know what I'm saying, the type of, but these guys have huge followings. This is the part that I don't understand. They have huge following. So what is it? You know what I mean? Why are they so drawn into to the likes and the thing? Is it the how do I say this? Is it that feeling that they get, that vanity feeling that they get because so many people like them, so many people are following them? Is that what it is? I'm just trying to understand it basically. Yes, JM, you're saying
I mean,
something.
Can I
Sneeko
just
has,
say, yeah, just a quick comment is that one thing we got to remember is that this whole sense of clout chasing, um, the lowering of one's religious morals, and the following narratives that can bring eyes to your channel, regardless of whether they're good or bad. This is just happening to some Muslims. We have a perfect example of it happening to a Christian with Andrew Wilson. Perfect example. So it's not just a Muslim issue. It's any religious person can become compromised
yeah,
if they start to kind of buy into this whole internet fame. Andrew Wilson is a person that claims to be an Orthodox Christian, but over
yeah,
time, we've all seen him become
yeah,
less tolerant of his faith, more tolerant of degenerate red pill ideology,
yeah.
leaning into slightly racist ideology as well. I've seen that from him. So yeah, this is something
Is
that
this Andrew?
literally
Andrew,
seems
that
to
guy
be
who's on
corrupting. I think
whatever podcast?
the brother mentioned corrupting, and I
Yeah,
Yeah.
think
yeah,
he's right.
Andrew
I think
Wilson.
you're
Yeah,
right. I think this is a corrupting
Yeah,
force.
yeah, Andrew Wilson from the Crucible. Sorry, JM. He was brother Dawud was asking if it was Andrew Wilson from the Crucible from whatever
Yeah, that's
podcast.
the one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the same
And
one.
I've been one of the major critics of this guy, and I'm a Catholic
yeah,
myself. Yeah, sorry, JM.
yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead. What you say?
No, that was it. Really, that was my point.
yeah,
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 Can I
go
say
ahead, brother.
a few points? Can I say a few points?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead,
So
bro.
this is
No,
all
that was
quite
it. That was it.
interesting.
That was it. That was my point there. That finished my point.
Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
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 we can hear you.
yeah.
We can hear you.
No, until I finished. That was it.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, we can
I'm
hear
just,
you. We can hear you, brother. Okay.
I'm just gonna say something that came to mind in this discussion that we're having.
No, I was saying I
Uh,
finished. I don't know if you can hear. I believe it's a delay or something.
I can hear
But
you definitely,
basically, it's
definitely.
finished my point.
So yeah, I just wanted
Go
to
ahead.
make to comment on so this whole situation reminded me of something. So there was a YouTube trend, or I guess a trend, or of some sort within certain Taoist circles, to point the finger and to mock the how the media portrays the Christian community or the Christian religion, of how it's tolerant of everything. This is something that, generally speaking, we shouldn't comment on. But one really good reason not to focus on those things is the issues that we have within our own Dawa community. Having somebody like Sneako and Andrew Tate, and I keep reiterating it because I just can't ignore it. Two people that are very popular within the Dawa scene without having any experience, they're converts, without having, much knowledge, of being very prominent within the Dawah circles, sitting with people who promote the faith at every level, being amplified quite consistently for quite a while. Um, we have our own issues to deal with. So rather than pointing out the problems within, the how the media presents the Christian community, because you could criticize Christianity, that's all well and good, and point out how that is incorrect, promote Islamic perception, but to point out the Christians, look at these Christians, they're tolerant, everything, they're weak, they're this, they're that, they're that. What about
Yeah,
us?
yeah,
Somebody sits and says, "Can I say the N word?" Oh well, this and that, da 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 da
yeah,
da. Well,
yeah,
hold on, hold on.
absolutely.
What are we doing? We're worried
Mm.
about somebody else, the stain on somebody else's shirt, where we're walking around without our trousers on. But it's going to embarrass us at some point. It's to give you that graphic image.
And you know what? Yeah,
And
brother Hassan.
yeah, go ahead,
Brother
go ahead.
Hassan.
Yeah,
There's someone, brother Nomad Ali, mashallah. Again,
no, Mike,
subhanallah. Today
car.
we, yeah, today we have a presence of really good people who are joining us. He's someone I've known him for like the last decade or so, and he's one of those brothers like you will never see him online, you will never see him in front of the camera saying anything, but he is there day and out, whether it rains, whether the sun is out, he will be out there standing for what he believes in, which is Islam. And I've shared many beautiful memories with him, and he mentioned this about his likes and shares because again we were present at a time when social media wasn't the thing that is today, and that it really didn't matter how many views you would get or whatnot, right? So again, I think it's for people like, and I say this again, and you have to repeat sometimes your points for people to really get the message. I
Mhm.
think it's time for really a balanced, and I'm very astonished actually, in fact, that I'm having this beautiful conversation with all of you, a very balanced approach that you're all taking, and I'm more than happy to join again. But I think right now I'm gonna have to leave very soon. Um, but yeah, it's been such a pleasure, and it really has helped me to also like unleash a lot of the stuff that I had within me from that conversation. Of course, Sneako has a much more bigger platform than me, so the way he presented me and the way he's like he's mischaracterized as me, you know caused me a great deal of distress in terms of just not having the same platform to speak back to him. See, but yeah, so thank you for allowing me to do that on this channel. I really appreciate that, and I think that this could be the beginning of something very beautiful on the internet. Where we can really
I
have
think so too, brother.
yeah
Before you leave, brother Dawood, in this podcast, what we do is we give our solutions because the podcast is called
yeah
The Solution. So
yeah
we all of us we give the solution, then we'll end the show. And this has been absolutely amazing as a conversation, and I pray to have you back, brother Dawood. It was
yeah
absolutely amazing. Yes, can you just give us your solution? We're just gonna go
yeah.
through everyone. Everyone gives their solution, and we'll end the show. And shouts to everyone as well that's commented. Shouts to all the Muslim brothers and sisters that joined in and commented. Shouts to all of you. Yeah, go ahead, brother. What's your solution?
Okay, so my solution to this, I think it's a solution that I've been thinking about for a very long time. We have to allow ourselves to really be honest with ourselves, and for anyone that's watching, if there's anything that you want to say to the next person, okay, is authenticity, being honest with yourself. Now, how do you propagate this on a larger scale? How do you get this into the masses, right? I think it's by having platforms like yours, it's by having people who see what is happening and are courageous enough to come out and address it. Okay. For example, when I said that I would do a reaction video to the stream, Ali Dawa told me to do it. And he said, if you do it, you'll get loads of views, meaning your message will get across to loads of people, right? And sometimes people uh, in my position don't feel either confident enough or bothered enough to go out and do and talk about this issue because to them it's cringe. Because if you think about it, sometimes it is really cringe. They're sitting in front of a camera and talking about world issues like the world cares. But I think it's really the solution really is again for people who have a balanced view, for people who view things slightly different from what is out there. Be vocal, be out there, make yourself known, and be vigilant in studying and being well read, and honest and fair with your assessment of the world.
Okay, brother Hassan, what's your
Yeah, yeah,
final thoughts?
sure. First of all, you can see my picture in the as my avatar. So if anybody ever hears me say anything I don't like, I'll be a speaker's corner at some point. Please come up to me politely, respectfully. Don't live stream it. Don't turn the camera on. I don't want to be on camera or whatever. Just you know, be in somebody else's interview and get spoofed or whatever. Um, Secondly, I'd like the second point I'd like to miss. I'm just making 3 points in there. Go. I'll let you guys if you can just put up on the screen what I've got here, Octavia.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, so this is a book by David Barton, who's a historian. He's a bit right wing in terms of politically, more Republican, not far right. But he does talk about how the Democratic Party, in some parts, because that's his perspective, has misrepresented the African American community. And there are a great number of African Americans who have great achievements, but they'll go unrecognized, unnoticed. This book is called "Setting the Record Straight: American History in Black and White" by David Barton. This talks about people who were slaves and then left slavery and they went on to become, astrophysicists or people of notable achievements that aren't often mentioned in the mainstream media because the Democratic Party, from his perspective, likes to sustain the racism of low expectations, right? So there are great African Americans, and there is a great, rich history of the African American culture. If you want to look for it, if there is some level of humanity in you to look at somebody else and say they're human, I'm human, so there must be something capable and good in them that just like there is in me, right? So if you look for it, you shall find it. If you don't look for it, you'll never find it. If you want to be an echo chamber that perpetuates an idea that you're better than somebody else, absolutely no valid reason, you'll find it. But if you want to go out of that bubble and find the truth is there. So that's my second point. My third point, as a solution, as a Muslim, the solution is in the Quran and the Sunnah. And I'll think of the example of Abraham, where Allah says to him, build the Kaaba, build Mecca, right? Build the Kaaba, the place of worship that the whole world come to. And he says to him, well, if I build it, how will I get the people to come? And Allah says to him, do not worry. I will make the people, you build it, and I'll deal with the rest. And this should be the same message to the people, to the Dawah community as a whole. They do great work, but they're forgetting that it is not your words, it's not your masculine approach in terms of how you present the truth. It's not your winning arguments, but it is Allah who gives you the victory. Speak the truth as it is, not as you would think your audience should best receive it, right? Just speak the truth and Allah will deal the rest. Do not think the likes or the celebrity or somebody famous or whoever should make your message be more successful. The success comes from Allah. It begins with Him. Yeah, and that's it. And you'll never go astray. And you'll never lose because Allah will recompense you or reward you for what you try to do rather than what you think you could do. Right? And that's my
Brother John Michelle, talk to me, bro.
Yeah. So first of all, just a big shout out to the brother Dawa. I hope we're pronouncing your name correctly. Dawud, for joining us. Very insightful. Look forward to you being a regular on the Solution podcast. And big up to our co-professor, Professor Hassan. That's his name. I've given him.
I appreciate it. I've had worse.
for contacting the brother in the first place.
Thank you. Guys.
Yeah. So in terms of the what we covered today, I just think I have to just call it cowardice. That's the first word that comes to mind. Is cowardice because these guys, I think these guys are finding it easier to practice their religion online and to become celebrities online and to wear nice suits like Mr. Ali Dawah. Oh, I remember Ali Dawah when he used to walk around in jeans and a hoodie. Now he's walking around in cream three-piece suits.
Yes.
I remember him back. I used to go Speaker's Corner back in the day. I remember he was a very humble guy back then. I don't know who this character I'm seeing now is. This is fame, guys. These guys are seeking fame, and as the brother said, they're being corrupted. These are social media Muslims and Christians out here who have been corrupted, who are seeing maybe financial incentives from having large social followings, and they become tolerant. That's the irony of it all. As a Christian or a Muslim, you're not supposed to become tolerant of everything. You're supposed to be intolerant of many things. They've become tolerant of having all types of characters around them that are not worthy to be around them. They're not critiquing and they're not criticizing, because these people have names and status. A real religious man doesn't care about your status, doesn't care about your income, doesn't care about what car you drive, doesn't care about how many followers you got on Twitter or Instagram. A religious man is out here simply to live his faith, and if it needs be, to correct and to chastise people who are claiming to be of the same faith but are saying and doing stuff that is completely contrary to what their so-called their faith teaches. So I think it's cowardice, because these guys will not stand up for their belief. As far as I see it, they won't stand up and say, you know what, this person should not be around us. He needs to be removed if he doesn't change his ways. And now they're ingratiating themselves with the degeneracy, having stupid conversations about, can we use the N-word? These are religious men having these type of conversations. Ridiculous. So yeah, I think it's just cowardice. That's my final thought.
My final thoughts. I'm just going to read this verse, Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18. God says, "When I say to a wicked person, you will surely die, and you do not warn them or speak out to dissuade them from their evil ways in order to save their life, that wicked person will die for their sin, and I will hold you accountable for their blood." And I think that's what's going on here. It's basically um, Sneako, none of us are perfect. Sneako appealed to religious people, or to people who are in the religion, or known as religious people, and he should have been warned against it. He should have been told not to do it. The message should have been direct. It shouldn't have there shouldn't have been any ambiguity at all. And unfortunately, we don't know what the reasons possibly were why they were not as direct as they should have been, or
Yeah.
we don't know. They can only answer that question themselves. But yeah, they should have warned Sneako against it. They should have told them that there is no place. That the faith does not promote racism. The faith is not pro racism. We don't tolerate that here. That nonsense here. So don't go out there and don't do this, because none of us are perfect. Okay, you should have
Absolutely.
been shut down, and this is what the case really is. It's
Yeah.
just brothers or religious brothers that should have basically held the brother accountable, and prioritized the faith rather than the feelings of Sneako, and his fame or whatever it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, but that's basically what I've noticed here. So I hope Sneako changes. Of course, I hope anyone changes. I mean, from the evil ways, and becomes a better person. And I think that's what matters. But he does need to stop using that. Stop using racist terms and being racist. If he is not that, why do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, these are
Absolutely.
my final thoughts. Nom Ali said that would bring the brother Octavio to a bush on Saturday. Let's have coffee. I look forward to it. And special
Guys,
thank you to you.
if we could all meet up on a Sunday at Speaker's Corner and have maybe a little meal after,
Absolutely.
would be good.
Yes, yes. Let's organize that. Let's make that happen, please.
Yeah.
And thank you again. Special thank you, brother Dawud,
Thank
for
you.
joining the
No, I
platform,
appreciate
for
it.
coming.
Thank
I
you.
hope,
You're a
like,
beautiful host.
thank you, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that. And like JM said, I hope you're regular. And whenever you feel like dropping in, coming in, whatever topics you want to talk about, let us know. You know what I'm saying, and I'll be happy to host it.
Sure. Thank you.
I think the our kinds of voices, what I mean,
Yeah.
needs to be heard. You know what I mean, needs to
Yeah.
be platformed more because I think we've got a very like balanced way of analyzing things
Yeah.
in a very fair way.
Yeah.
And shouts to Hassan for even bringing you over. You know what I mean? So
Thank you.
shouts to the
Thank you.
professor. And shouts to everyone that was watching. We had loads of people watching, up to 10 people watching. Shouts on YouTube alone. So shouts to you guys. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Brother Dawood, and everyone. Peace. We'll see you
Thank you.
next time, guys. Take
Bye
care.
bye.